GFinity Arena here in London. And yes, my name is Tom Deacon. It's a pleasure to have you along for event 2 of the New Balance F1 Esports Pro Series 2019. Now let me tell you, if event 1 is anything to go by, then we are in for one hell of an evening. Welcome back for round 2 of the F1 Pro Series.
This year, Ferrari picked me. It's just an amazing feeling.
And we're racing in Bahrain. Oh, he's hit him. Hamilton, it's a victory.
Godzilla! Woo!
And there goes the Ferrari. Tonitza gets through. What a disaster for the Alfa Romeo driver. Frederick Rasmussen to win in Baku.
All right then, we're going to have 3 more races tonight, and alongside me for all 3 of them, we will have the return of WTF1's Mr. Matt Gallagher, and we also have former F1 driver Jolyon Palmer. Gentlemen, out of 10, how excited are we to be back here in the GFinity Arena for event 2?
I am pumped, Tom, to see if Tonzilla can stay on top. He's actually got a mascot tonight, so I'm very excited to see, can he deal with the pressure of being right at the forefront of this field?
Yeah, indeed. Take nothing away from it, even with a soft toy. Listen, Jolyon, we will have 3 races tonight in some iconic circuits. Of course, we're going to have Canada, Austria, Great Britain. Out of those 3, which are you most looking forward to tonight?
They're all great tracks, actually. Really looking forward to all of them. I would say maybe Canada. Some great overtaking chances. The walls are closed. Easy to pick up a 5-second penalty. We know that as well. So there's a lot more that can go wrong, I think.
Indeed, there's a lot more that can go wrong. Matt, we don't even have time to fill in, Jolyon, on what happened in the last event. So, listen, we will be hearing lots more from these 2 gentlemen. But first, here's a reminder of what happened coming into this week. Okay then, David Tonitza claimed wins in Bahrain and China before Freddie Rasmussen took 25 points in Baku to leave the driver standings looking like this. Tonzilla is on top with 65 points, followed by Rasmussen on 43. Now, Marcel Kiefer's consistency means he's in 3rd, closely followed by Sally Sultan and Jana Otmir. And now, last year's champion, Brendan Lee, is currently down in 6th place after failing to get on the podium in any of the first 3 races. Now, these are the team standings, as we can see Ferrari on top. And as you can see, I mean, these are all the points from week 1, but it is Ferrari Driver Academy who are out in front with David Tonitza claiming all the points for that prancing horse. So listen, gentlemen, David Tonitza, Matt, to fill Jolyon on, how good is he? I mean, let's put it into context. 2018, he was in a draft, didn't get picked. First pick of the 2019 draft, and he's absolutely smashing it.
I don't know what's happened to him over the course of a year, but as you say, wasn't picked in the pro draft. And now he is here winning races. 2 of the 3. He finished quite consistent, I think 3rd or 4th in Baku as well. And it's just great to see that he's picked himself up from a disappointing 2018. And he is now at the head of the field for Ferrari Driver Academy. It's a dream come true.
It is. But do you think it's too soon to start talking about champion? Being thrown him in the context of champion?
Yes, very, very soon. We've still got 9 races to go. He hasn't won a season. Brendan Lee we've had for the last 2 seasons, so he's still got a lot to prove. Let's see if Tonzilla can deal with the pressure.
Indeed. Now listen, Jolyon, when you've won 2 races and then you finish in 3rd in that 3rd race, do you feel more of the pressure, or will he be sort of feeling, I got this?
He's, I think, all right now. He's leading the championship. He's got 2 wins. Normally to get 1 win is a bit of you're sort of getting a bit edgy, bit of pressure coming before you get that first win. He's come in, got 2 straight away, and I think that eases the pressure. He's got to keep up and picking up good results now.
Yeah, do you reckon the other teams will be kicking themselves? They could have had him in the draft, but they didn't in 2018. However, the best of the rest, Freddie Rasmussen, the cool, calm, collected Freddie. What have you made of him so far, Matt?
He is the calmest person I've ever seen. Just off the rig, on the rig, he turns the steering wheel so calmly. He doesn't have any emotion in his face, in interviews or not. So
I think he's saving the energy for what he can do with the steering and the pedals.
He's doing very well with that one. He's very consistent, and I think he'll be one of the front runners come the end of the season. Will he be champion? Can he take Tonitza's top spot? I don't know. Yeah,
well, he won in Baku. However, Jolyon, let's go back to season 2 of the Pro Series. Brendan Lee. I mean, he was a name that we couldn't stop talking about. However, seems to be struggling. Or would you put it in a way of saying everyone else is up their game?
Who knows? But certainly we've got Tonitza come in and leading the championship. And it's a bit like Formula 1 or any sport, really. You've got to keep on raising your game because the level just increases all the time. And it's inevitable that new people come in, the standard gets better. It happens in Formula 1 as well. Look at Charles Leclerc in Ferrari now. Sebastian Vettel's got to raise his game. Yeah. So it happens to the best of everyone. and I'm sure Brendan's got a bit more in the tank.
Yeah, could it be that famous P word, Matt? Bit of pressure, too much pressure on him. He's delivered before. Maybe it's something that's changed in him, or just taking his, to excuse the pun, foot off the gas a little bit in terms of his preparation, maybe.
Maybe that. Again, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but I think maybe it is foot off the gas a little bit for him because, you know, he's won 2 seasons. Maybe he's just chilling out a little bit, took the time off, and now he's seen everybody within 3 or 4 tenths. And I think the main thing is the fact people are managing now with the backing of F1 teams to actually perform on the stage, which is the mentality side of things. It's not the skill.
Okay, well, listen, someone who will be very pleased with their efforts from the first 3 races is Jarno Opmeer. A podium and 5th place in the first 2 races has him 5th in the driver's standings, and a 10th place finish for teammate Cedric Tomé ensured Renault Vitality picked up points in all 3 races. So definitely a good time to go and see the guys.
In the morning, around 10, we leave the apartment and arrive here at the factory. Then we start practicing around 11, try to do as much runs as we can until 10, 11 at night. Then after that I go to the gym.
Living in the UK with Jarno has been really cool so far. We are having a lot of fun. The practice sessions have been good.
He's been doing this on a high level for a lot longer than me. I can learn a lot from him from the gaming side, and he can learn a lot from me on the real life racing side.
He's been involved in real life racing, which is really good combination for me as well, because I know a lot about the game and he knows a lot about the real life stuff.
Yeah, always the dream was Formula 1 for me. From a very young age I was doing the F1 games. I remember being 3 years old playing an F1 game. I can't remember which one it was. I still hope someday I can make it into the real F1.
He's a really cool guy. He jokes around a lot, which is cool. I like to do that as well. Well, he put a setup on, so he's obviously going faster.
Which is better.
Yeah.
Our last event was my first live sim racing event, which had some ups and downs. First race was really well, obviously second.
The Renault of Opmeer looking pretty racy in 2nd place.
But I think the next upcoming event, we have a good chance to finish top 3 in every race.
And I think we have really good pace. If we can manage to get good qualifyings on each track, I think we're good to go.
Obviously I love racing, it's just a lot of dedication and practice to become as good as possible.
Very serious faces there from Jarno and Cedric, and clean socks, which is very important. Gentlemen, we heard there 11 hours they are spending in the rig. Put it into context, Jolien. How much is an F1 driver actually in the car and doing laps and getting some practice in?
Closer to 11 hours in the year. You get 5 days of testing basically in the year, 4 pre-season, and then 1 at some point mid-season if you're lucky. And then, of course, you get some simulator time on top. But in the actual car, you barely get any time at all. So this is a luxury. But also, it shows, because the level of these guys is so high. If they spend maybe 10 hours, they'd be taking their foot off the gas, a la Brendan Lee, and falling down the order.
Already, a la Brendan Lee. I like that as the quote of the day. But in terms of sim rate, how much time can an F1 driver get in a sim and do kind of what these guys are doing to just make sure they're match fit and ready?
Once or twice a week. But also the F1, there's so much time that F1 drivers have to, travelling to the races, PR appearances, training and everything else, that there's a lot that goes into it, and the simulator's still not quite like the real thing. The simulator for these guys is the real thing. So there's a bit of a difference there.
Okay, well, hopefully all that time will pay off with some results. Let's turn our attention now to tonight's action. And for the first time in the New Balance F1 Esports Pro Series, we visit the famous circuit GFinity in Canada. So let's have a look at the lineup for the first race. Here we go then, Matt. So looking at this, Tino in first and then Jarno Opmeer. It's all lining up on that grid, isn't it? And the Renault team, the 11 hours have paid off.
Yeah, 2nd and 3rd, 76 thousandths of a second separating the top 3. Still not even 2 tenths covering the top 8. Brendan Lee down in 8th there. You've got Daniel Haddad, who's one of the newer guys on the grid. Patrick Holzman, a better qualifying for him. He's had a difficult time.
Yeah, and what about that Daniel Perezny? former Brendan Lee teammate at Mercedes, went off in his own direction, and it's not paying off quite yet. The big man is failing a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. 3/10 off though, and he's starting 13th. That just shows how close this field is and how much preparation is going into these tracks.
Yeah, and hopefully he's learnt to not hit the brake so hard it broke. Listen on that one. Listen, after doing a sterling job on the mic last time, Alex Brundle has made way. So Jack Nicholls and his usual quiet, unassuming sparring partner, Davide Vasecki, are back in tandem talking, and also joined up there is Jolyon Palmer. Jack, are you looking forward to having Davide back? Has he missed us?
Have you missed us?
Yeah, a lot. Ciao, guys.
Oh, okay. Oh, great. Yeah. And as you say, we've got Jolyon up here. He made it up from the floor, fastest he's ever been. And we're all looking forward.
Sorry.
It starts immediately, doesn't it? Great. Sorry. That's my only one. That's my only one of the day. But yes, looking forward to this race around the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. What a circuit, Davide.
Yeah, will be extreme today because we saw some Italian guys very, very fast in the past, but today is another day. It will be a great race, and check it out, the track.
Yep, here we go. We've got two DRS zones along the back straight. You've got the overtaking zone into zone 1 and the final chicane, and of course that wall of champions, Jolyon.
Yep, easy to hit the wall. You've got to get so close to them to be quick, but brush the wall, pick up some damage, or of course cut those corners as well, which is quite easy to do. There's a lot of chicanes and a lot to get wrong. It's a fine line.
Yeah, and that's something that actually can go wrong in the game, is if you make a mistake down at one of those chicanes and go straight on, you could end up with a time penalty, or you could end up with other kind of problems and damage as well, because it's a reasonable track for overtaking.
Yeah, we need to remember the main straight, very long and DRS open. Incredible there.
Okay, so let's get on with the first race of the evening. It's the fourth round of the championship in Montreal. The lights are out, and Tino Näkärinen from pole position heads down towards the first corner. He hasn't got a very good getaway. The two Renaults sweep around the outside and into first and second place. So Jarno Opmeer up into the lead. Cedric Thome is second, Näkärinen third, Rasmussen fourth in the Red Bull. It's side by side between Bono Huis and Joni Tormala as they come into the chicane at 3 and 4 for the first time. But Näkärinen, Davide, on pole position, but he's dropped down to third.
Yeah, the key was the outside line at the first break. You saw it, the Renault drivers on the outside, they take immediately the leadership. So the key was there, and look at it. He's trying to keep it immediately.
Renault looking strong in the championship with a couple of consistent results. Jarno Opmeer leading the way for the Renault team. He finished second in Bahrain, fifth in China, finished down in 14th in Baku, but still a good couple of points hauls. DRS won't be open yet, but this is the overtaking part of the circuit.
Yeah, still important to get a good slingshot out of the hairpin on this long run up to the final chicane. Again, critical to get this right as well, where the wall of champions is. Quick right left that they're into now, and look how close they are. Näkärinen on the back of Thome.
Okay, so here's Näkärinen's radio.
You don't need to talk to me in the whole race, just penalties. I know what I'm doing.
There's a bit of leave me alone, I know what I'm doing there for Tino Näkärinen, because that's new for this year, is that as Vias has been already given a 3-second time penalty for cutting the corner, but this year the drivers have headsets on and can talk to the team who are backstage watching the monitors. So that's new for this season, and it just gives them a little bit more control over the way the race is panning out. So Opmeer leads, Thome in second place. We're on board with Tino Näkärinen then in the Williams, the 19-year-old Finn, who was so strong in last year's Pro Draft. The result didn't quite come together for him, got 2 podiums last season, but still looking for his first win as he gets onto the brakes, into the right-hand hairpin that then takes him back up the front. But this is really good news for Renault, because that's in the Constructors' Championship, Davide, where all the money is.
Yeah, you're right. Very important for the drivers maintain the position, because Näkärinen was on pole. He lost places, but look at him. He's putting pressure on Renault. It will be not easy for them trying to maintain behind Näkärinen, because looks the strongest driver in the track at the moment.
And Näkärinen in third is on the medium tyre compared to the two Renaults that are both on the soft as well. So that'll be interesting later on when they need to take a pit stop. And he's looking really quick on that tyre.
That might explain the start.
It probably would. That would give you less grip off the line, and the two Renaults that launched past him with a bit more rear grip for the softer tyre, I think that would explain it, but he's got good pace now regardless, really, really close to the back of second place.
And it's only the two Williams in the whole grid that started on the medium compound of tyre. Usually you'll see the sort of lower half of the series of the grid start on the mediums. There's the focus and concentration on the face of Brendan Lee. He's running in 6th place then, so that's a pretty decent start from Brendan Lee. He started in 8th place, so he's gained a couple of spots. You can see him changing the settings as they come down into the hairpin this time around. And there's the look from Naukorinen. He's going to try and get up alongside Tomei. Is he going to pop open the DRS this time around? He's tucked right underneath. He does, and this could be 3 wide for the lead here because Otmir doesn't have the DRS.
Semi-double.
Here we go into the chicane, and Naukorinen takes them both. There's a bit of damage. They fly straight on, and Naukorinen has been given a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. Chaos down at the final chicane.
He tried to take 2 position. Look, he tried to bring 2 position, and then he cut the chicane. He just missed the break. He was too aggressive. Was just too much there.
And I think Otmir turning in is what actually happened there. He's okay. He's moving slightly to the left, and Otmir's moving. Oh no, it's Naukorinen moving just to the left. And Otmir comes straight in the pits.
Yeah, it almost looked like he got sent straight down the pits there rather than his choice. So drama up at the front. It means that Tino Naukorinen is in the lead. Tomei is second. This is now Freddie Rasmussen in third, and I think we're getting a few spots of rain here. I think we're getting a few spots of rain on the onboard camera, so that could cause difficulties as well.
And now he's on the end of the driver because sensibility and talent to manage this difficult condition are very important. Look, Naukorinen is still good, but Rasmussen, he tried the attack at the hairpin. Oh, he missed the break there.
Okay, so Tomei goes straight on down at the hairpin, and that means Rasmussen is up into 2nd place in the Red Bull as they come up the back straight again. They're going to have DRS, and we're almost going to see a repeat here, I think. Here they come towards the pit lane entry on board with Cedric Tomei.
DRS shut, I think, because it started raining, so none of them have got it, and they all come straight in the pits. Really, really slippery out there.
Okay, so what tyres are they going to choose? Are we going to gamble? Because it's not absolutely chucking it down at the moment. Are we going to see a move to intermediates? Yes, looks like the front 3 are going for the intermediate tyres then.
You'll be racing on the exit.
It's bad news for Otmir, who pitted the lap before. Surely he didn't go for it on that first lap either.
Yeah, that's very true. He got sent down the pit lane, didn't he, in all the chaos, so Otmir might be in a bit of trouble if he has to pit again.
Let's get some heat into those tyres.
Now the rain is heavy anyway,
Yeah, it certainly looks like that was the right decision. So Naukorinen emerges in 2nd place, Freddie Rasmussen 3rd, and we're on board with Cedric Tomei, who's running in 4th position as he comes through the chicane. Let's hear from his radio.
Yeah, heavy rain in a few minutes apparently.
Yeah.
Okay, so the team telling him there's going to be heavy rain in a few minutes. Look at the board on the left. Marcel Kiefer is on the soft compound of tyre. He's leading the way in the racing point, but he's not in the lead for long because those who have pitted and are now on intermediates are right with him.
And Naukorinen is very strong because look, he's gaining, and Kiefer, he just missed the break and he lost the places. Look, Rasmussen and Naukorinen and Tomei, they are all aggressive with the intermediate tires.
Kiefer's got no grip at all on the slick tyres. He's going backwards very quickly. Otmir actually pitted for the Inters as well the lap earlier, so he got away with it. And now they're in these 3 back into the top 3 positions. Rasmussen really close to Naukorinen. Might be able to have a look down into this final chicane. Good overtaking opportunities, really, really close, but doesn't go for it there.
No DRS, as Jolyon said, when the rain comes, but it's still these 2 very much for the lead of the race. Cedric Tomei was looking strong earlier, but now it's very much Rasmussen trying to get past Naukorinen, the Dane trying to pass the Finn as they come into the right-hander of turn 2 now.
He's a bit worried there, Rasmussen, because he saw before Naukorinen when he cut the chicane, he took the penalty.
Yeah.
Now he doesn't want to risk. And look, he's trying to take the overtake, but he doesn't want to risk to be penalized.
That's
so
true.
not an easy condition.
We're in maybe a sort of similar condition to Canada this year with the race leader with a looming time penalty.
The only thing for Rasmussen is he's got Tomei just behind him, so he can't really afford to sit there as Hamilton did to Vettel in the Grand Prix. He might have to try and pass Naukorinen if the pace isn't picked up.
Lap 6 of 18. Naukorinen leading in the Williams, only just ahead of Frederick Rasmussen, who was a front runner last year, finished 2nd in the championship, took the fight to Brendan Lee. There is Freddie on the left-hand side in his Red Bull wear. Took 2 wins so far, including 1 this season, and he's finished on the podium in 7 of the last 9 races. Very good consistency from Rasmussen. What's he going to do here? Down the back straight. We're on lap 6 of 18, so not at half race distance yet. It still could dry up. Everybody's, you see, on the intermediate tyre, and as you say, with Jarno Otmir, he's managed to get away with being in 5th place despite his chaos earlier on. And Brendan Lee's up to 4th, so that's worked out well for the two-time champion.
Catching slightly the front 3 as well. So Rasmussen's in this really tricky situation now. He doesn't need to pass Nakarinen to win the race because Nakarinen's got the 3-second penalty. But if he sits there and doesn't make the move, then he's putting himself at risk from Tomei and maybe Brendan Lee, who's just in the back of shot now catching this trio.
Look the level of the driver. They use the inside curb, but not the outside one because it's risky and usually slippery, and you want to avoid it to lose the car. Look, it seems close enough to try the attack. Probably the safest place is at the hairpin just after this chicane. If he can exit from this corner very close, he can attack on the next break.
He's very close, coming down into the hairpin then. Lap 7 of 18. Doesn't quite fancy it yet. Tomei is there coming with him though and is only 0.6 behind. Brendan Lee 1.8 seconds back, so at the moment they've got Brendan Lee relatively covered off. Now this time Rasmussen coming down the back straight is closer than ever to the Williams, but the slipstream isn't really being that dramatic for him with no DRS. Onto the brakes through the final chicane, and now Nakarinen leads another lap, and for Nakarinen I suppose it's just he needs to get as far away at the front of the field as he possibly can.
Nakarinen is a bit lucky at the moment because usually the slipstream when it's wet doesn't count so much and doesn't give the effect like the dry track. But anyway, he's maintaining the position, he's not making any mistake, Nakarinen. And look, Tunizza, he's struggling a bit now, 8th, but a bit far away from the top driver.
Yeah, Tunizza qualified 11th, which on paper doesn't look great, but he was 0.3 of a second away from pole position. The field is so close, and Tunizza has moved up into 8th spot. So this will help Freddie Rasmussen in particular in the championship, because Rasmussen is only 22 points behind. With Tunizza down in 8th place, that's going to make the gap pretty much 0, if not exactly 0. I can't quite do the math.
Great calculation. Great.
Long way to go yet though. We're not even at half distance, and it's still very, very close. Just 2 tenths. That's the battle for the lead there. That's closest it's been now. Surely coming into the final corner.
Here they come then, up towards that chicane, over the DRS line, but no DRS opening. How risky does Freddie Rasmussen want to be as he comes down that back straight and wants to put the pressure on Tino Nakarinen out in the lead of the race?
Believe me, he needs to be more aggressive. He needs to try the overtake because Tom is closer. Brendan Lee is closer. Now he's close enough. Try! Now. No, he didn't.
Well, Nakarinen, he got a bit sideways coming out of the final corner there. Rasmussen got the better exit, but still he couldn't go for it. He's just so on the edge right now.
Enzo Benito in the McLaren has been given a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, presumably on track limits. He's down in 16th position, Enzo Benito. The other McLaren of Bono Quis is there in front of David Tunizza, who we're on board with now. Tonzilla, as he is becoming known.
Used an awful lot of curb in turn 3 and 4, that chicane, and he's basically quick with it as well, right onto the back of Bono Quis.
Here comes Rasmussen again, right behind Nakarinen, coming into the chicane at the halfway point of the lap, and he's got to be getting through here, down into the hairpin.
This has got to be the one now, make him defend.
He opened the line at the entry to have a better exit. He tried on the outside, almost impossible there.
And he's just going to get squeezed out by Nakarinen, is he? No, he leaves them room. And now they're going to be side by side. Rasmussen is in front, but Nakarinen has the inside line for the final chicane. Cedric Tomei is there just half a second back, and Nakarinen holds it. It looks like that Williams has more straight line speed, potentially in just the way the car is set up. And look at Tomei in the Renault, right in the fight now as well. Rasmussen looks to the outside, coming into turn 1. It'll be tough to go all the way around there, and he can't quite do it. Nakarinen driving very well.
Wow, how good was his defense? Was just perfect. He squeezed Rasmussen on the white line, but not too much to get penalized. He opened the line to have the advantage on the exit. It was just perfect because look, on the miss rate, he gives over every time to Rasmussen the outside line, never the inside, and so he can maintain the position. Well done.
And now look at Brendan Lee, 4th place, and he's right there. So the 2 scrapping at the front has just backed them up a little bit. Tomei could have passed Rasmussen, but Brendan Lee now on board, looking at the front 3, and it's still absolutely teeming down. It's getting wetter and wetter.
5th in Bahrain, 11th in China, 4th in Baku for Brendan Lee in the first 3 races of the season, 6th in the championship, some 40 points off the lead, but a strong result here will do him the world of good. Would love to gain a couple more places though, as now Karinen, remember, has that 3-second time penalty, and that would send him back to 4th place on the back of this queue when the race ends. But we're on lap 10 of 18 at the moment, and Rasmussen wants to get past on the circuit, that's for sure, as they come into the chicane. Jana Otmir still there in 5th place, fairly lonely ahead of Joni Tormala, Bono Huis, David Tonitsa. Then we've got Larito and Cem Bolokbasi completing the top 10. There's the concentration on the face of Brendan Lee through turns 1 and 2.
It's tough for Rasmussen because it's so difficult to go around the outside on this circuit. Every time he's just being shown the outside when he's close enough, and you just can't make it around the outside in those chicanes. So he needs to try and catch the lead in napping, but at the moment it's not possible. He's doing all the right lines in Nakarina.
But how worth it is it to make it?
At the moment, not at all. But so long as Tomei doesn't start to lunge or Brendan Lee starts to lunge at him, otherwise it might be very worth it. Because if he could pass Nakarina, he looks quicker and he'd probably break away to an easy win.
Bolokbasi fighting with Larito over 9th place. So that looks like quite a nice fight, but the top 4 cars right together in Montreal in the 4th round of the 2019 F1 New Balance Esports Pro Series. And now Karinen, the young Finn in the Williams, leading the way at the moment, but Freddie Rasmussen is right behind him again, as he has been for the majority of the Grand Prix so far. Cedric Tomei, if anything, is just dropping back a little bit. They're all starting to spread out a tiny bit more as they come down to start lap 12. And in fact, if anything, it's Brendan Lee that's going to be the man making the move before too long.
Seems that now Karinen is suffering less at the moment. Probably he's raised up a bit his level in driving, and seems that he's a bit less under pressure. Rasmussen just stopped a bit to put pressure on him, probably because Tomei is under pressure of Lee and is not attacking Rasmussen.
There is Brendan Lee in 4th place, the 2-time champion. Such an incredible record last season. Of his 13 esport entries, he's won 6 races and been on the podium 8 times. And of course, that's including 3 appearances this season where he didn't manage to achieve that. So 8 podiums in 10 races last season for Brendan Lee. Over the last 2 years, I should say.
Look at him. What is he thinking? The champion is coming back. The champion is coming back because he was away. He was 2 seconds away from Tomei, and now he's close to him. He had the chance to try the victory today, and seems strong enough to try.
That's what we thought when you came back, Davide. This week, the champion is coming back. Lap 12 of 18. Now Karinen leading in the Williams. Half a second ahead of Rasmussen, then Tomei, and then Brendan Lee. As they come up the back straight, and it's still raining pretty hard, isn't it? I did wonder whether it would ease off and there might even be a switch back to slicks, but it's worked out pretty well for these drivers. No one really gaining massively or losing out massively, bar Marcel Kiefer in the Racing Point. Although even he's down in 16th place now, and he started in 14th place. So in the grand scheme of things, it hasn't been a disaster. Holtzman, Larito, in fact, Larito's just pitted. He's just made a second pit stop to go onto the full wet weather tyres then. And Patrick Crush did that a couple of laps ago. So they maybe think more rain potentially coming, and maybe these guys will start to struggle with their inters.
I don't know, because the loss of the pit stop is very big. It's more is around 20 seconds. So I don't know if you have the time to come back with this, with this rhythm. So you need to improve a lot of the lap time, and usually wet is not so easy.
There's a bit of standing water on the track though. I think it is getting wetter, so it's a gamble for those guys at the back. They've got nothing to lose really by pitting. They're not going to be in the top 10 anyway. So if it does get wetter and these guys start struggling, they might find themselves with a bit of an undercut.
On board again with Freddie Rasmussen, going wider into the hairpin to get a better line out, but now Karinen looking strong still in the lead of the race, that 13 of 18.
So close to the back of him every time in the hairpin. He really knows the length of his car, just millimetre perfect.
Onto the brakes, into the final chicane. And like in real Formula One, on a lot of occasions, these guys, with this onboard camera, you can't see as much as when you're down in the cockpit view as they come into turn 1 with regards to where your front wing is and the like. There will still be, there's a point for fastest lap as well over the course of the season, which we didn't have in the first 3 races because no one inside the top 10 set the fastest lap. So that's still up for grabs as we come through turns 5 and 6, and then into the left-hander that takes them out onto the little straight up to the chicane. That 14 of 18.
Rasmussen at the moment is smart and clever, because he avoid trouble, he avoid to try the attack, he avoid any mistakes. So he's in second position, but in theory he's winning the race. So he needs to put pressure, but no mistake at all for him, and he's going to win. He's in a better condition than now Karinen, that is forced to improve the gap and to improve the rhythm just to take the 3-second advantage. That is not easy. I consider that Rasmussen is bloody quick today.
Big slide out of the hairpin for Rasmussen. Remember, they're still on the inters and others have switched to the full wet, so that could still catch them out with a few laps to go. The good thing for Rasmussen is Tomei's dropping, and now he's nearly a second away, so that just makes life so much easier. He doesn't have to worry about the lunge coming in from behind. He can just chill, keep second, a few more laps to go, and he'll take the victory by the time that Nakarinen has his penalty.
At 15 of 18. Tino Nakarinen leading the way. Cedric Tomei still just 0.3 of a second there ahead of Brendan Lee, behind in 4th position. And then it's Jarno Opmeer coming in 5th spot, 2 seconds adrift. Fairly lonely race for Opmeer as we go back on board with Brendan Lee, and then we see him on the left-hand side there, focused as ever. No wagging finger yet this year from Brendan Lee.
He's ready more now, he's ready more, because look at them. It's almost impossible to see very well the white line. It seems that Lee is pushing, but look, Nakarinen is under pressure.
Covers the inside line, Rasmussen is right there. Nakarinen doing his best to stay in front and stay as far in front of the field as possible. Onto the brakes, into the hairpin. Oh!
He never tried on the inside there. Seems there is the space to try the attack, but maybe it's too risky.
Seems an obvious move. The door's wide open every time. Why not just take the lunge on the inside? But he doesn't want to. He's locking up as well. He's so close to just smashing the back of Nakarinen. That feels like it's going to happen at some point, but at the moment, still measuring it perfectly.
Into the final chicane again. Through comes the Williams of Nakarinen, the Red Bull of Freddie Rasmussen, then the Renault of Cedric Tomei, with Brendan Lee behind. Again, drops to about 0.6 of a second back from the Renault at this point, with Opmeer 5th, Tormala, Huis, Tonitza, Bolek-Bassi, and Alvaro Caraton has now got up into the top 10 in the other Williams. So he started in 7th, Caraton, fell back, but has now climbed up into 10th position.
And did you show Bolek-Bassi that I think now he's 9th? He gained 9 position from the starting line, because he was 18 on the grid and now he's running in 9th position, so fantastic.
Yeah, he got a 5-place grid penalty, Chen Bolek-Bassi, I think from the last race for causing avoidable collision, but that still put him back to 18th from what would have been 13th. So to climb back up to 9th place is a very impressive drive from the Turkish racer, who's once again in the F1 Esports Pro Series, his 2nd year in the event, as they come into the hairpin once more. In fact, this is his 3rd year in the event, isn't he? He's been here every year, Chen Bolek-Bassi. We're on board again with Freddie Rasmussen. They're going to start the penultimate lap of the race now, and he just seems satisfied, Rasmussen, with that 2nd position, because Tino Nakarinen has that 3-second penalty, and Cedric Tomei is under more pressure from Brendan Lee than Tomei is putting on Rasmussen. That 3-second penalty for Nakarinen, where's that? I think it's going to put him in 4th, isn't it? He's not too far away from getting done by Jarno Opmeer, though, to be honest with you, as Larito now has a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. If Opmeer has a good next couple of laps, he could bring himself into sort of 4th position contention.
The mistake from Nakarinen was huge. If you consider that he could win this race, he's one of the strongest, and now he's going to finish out of the podium position. Brendan Lee is trying, look, he's the more aggressive driver from the top 4, and it seems that he's going to try for the podium position.
Right up behind Cedric Tomei in the Renault, whose best result this year was 10th place in Baku. It was only his only point-scoring finish of the first 3 races a couple of weeks ago, so a podium here for Cedric Tomei, or even a 2nd place after Nakarinen's penalty, would be very good for him. But Brendan Lee is right behind him, doesn't quite fancy it coming into the hairpin. Everybody just a little tentative in there, and the game is so realistic. If you nick a little front wing or some such, then you're going to be damaged, and you don't want, well, maybe understeer in the wet is better than understeer in the dry, but it's still not ideal.
Better to have a full front wing in the wet.
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, confirmed.
That's my expert analysis.
I think, yeah, you're a true pro here. I think they've got to go for a bit of a lunge, though. Get elbows out down to that hairpin, because no one can do it into the final corner. Everyone's just a little bit stagnant coming out. The slipstream's not doing a lot. They haven't got DRS. The reins
at an all-time peak now, I reckon, onto the final lap. But yeah, it's the hairpin or nothing.
And presumably on the final lap, can you afford a little nudge a bit more? If you just knock your front wing into the hairpin, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, give it a go. Don't want to get a penalty though. Don't want to do anything, because all these guys are going to end up on the podium apart from Nakarinen, who's got no one to race in front of him anyway. So yeah, I think they'll all be quite happy to finish first, second and third right now. They don't want to blow it on the hairpin coming up, and Rasmussen's the closest, and he's got nothing to gain because he's going to finish first even if he doesn't pass Nakarinen.
So down towards the hairpin for the final time. Is anybody feeling brave in the rain in Montreal? Onto the brakes, into that final hairpin right-hander, and they're all a little too far away. Lee sticks a nose in, and I don't know if it's quite come off. Nakarinen and Rasmussen going right together up towards the line. As you say, Davide, Nakarinen will be so frustrated with that unfortunate moment for him down at the chicane, and Lee didn't make it. It's still Tomei's having to cover the inside as they come into the chicane for the final time. Now Nakarinen out across the line, takes the checker flag, but it's Rasmussen who takes the victory after the 3-second time penalty for Tino Nakarinen. Tomei across the line in second place, Brendan Lee in third. Nakarinen holds on to fourth place by 0.2 of a second ahead of Jarno Opmeer. Another great drive from Freddie Rasmussen, his third win in the F1 Esports Pro Series, and a really, really impressive drive from Rasmussen. Did what he needed to do, knew that 3-second time penalty was there, but Tino Nakarinen, Jolien, is going to be a bit frustrated. That fight on the opening lap cost him.
It did, yeah, and it cost Jarno Opmeer as well, who was leading at that time, finished down in fifth, so those two came together, and Nakarinen actually did everything right. He kind of won the race, but that penalty cost him down to fourth.
Happy to be back?
Very happy. And Rasmussen today was just perfect. Under wet is not easier. You drive under wet? Never. Rasmussen won.
Okay, there's your warning. Tom, back to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, gentlemen, and great to have the champion, Davide Vasecki, back. So yes, it did indeed look like Freddie Rasmussen had taken the win, but since then, we've had adjudication and appeals process, and I can reveal that it's been busy down in the adjudication room, with more penalties having been applied, including a 3-second penalty for Rasmussen, and here is why. So, as you can see, we're on board with Cedric Tomei here in the Renault, and as you can see, just in front, you've got Rasmussen ahead of him, and then Nakarinen, and if we slow it right down here, you can see that the right wheels go across that white line on the exit, which means that is deemed unsafe. Therefore, a 3-second penalty is applied, which means the final standings for race 1 look like this. Well, it's actually turned out for a good race for Renault, with Cedric Tomei now taking the 25 points for a win, and his teammate Jarno Opmeer up to third. Champion Brendan Lee is on the podium for the first time this series, finishing second from 8th on the grid, and Freddie Rasmussen drops down to 4th. Right, let's now hear from Cedric Tomei. He crossed the line in third, but takes the win. He is with Rosanna.
F1 Esports races are always exciting right to the end. Even more exciting for you, Cedric. Congratulations, your first ever win in F1 Esports. You thought you'd finish third. You're actually the winner. How do you feel?
I feel amazing. I did not expect this at all.
Now, what did you see from your cockpit? Because perhaps you saw Tino and Freddie make these mistakes that they've been penalised for.
I didn't see it, but in the end, it's something you have to respect in the rules, and if something like this happens, you got to benefit from it.
And how much confidence does this give you going forward with the later races to come?
Yeah, it gives a good confidence boost. We are starting P6 for the next race, so it should be a good one.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right then, fresh from commentating up there, I heard what Jack said about you, but incredible win there for Cedric Tomei. Can you believe it? He kept his nose clean, a comfortable, safe drive. He ends up winning it.
Lucky. He was lucky, let's be honest. He drove great, but the two in front got a penalty, and Freddie Rasmussen, we didn't know he had a penalty until after the race either. And that one, I mean, he crossed the white line, you can't really argue with it, but it's a harsh one. They all drove brilliantly, though. Really tough conditions.
Jolien, let's have a little look at that penalty. I saw on Rasmussen, the ice-cold man, but he looked livid towards the end. What did you make of this? Is this a bit of a schoolboy mistake? You're leaving the pit. Keep it tidy, keep it simple, right?
Yeah, rule 101, you don't cross that white line on pit exit, and he's only done it by, what, a couple of millimetres?
Yeah.
But the rules are the rules.
Rules are the rules, but how much of an advantage are they getting there, Jolien? Let's
Nothing.
talk. Nothing.
He's got, I mean, a thousandth of a second.
Yeah.
But then
rules are rules, and I like that. But how unsafe really is that?
That's fine.
It's fine. Okay, well, let's change the rules. We've actually high-fived on that. We're so angry about everything there. But it just seems like Rasmussen will be angry at himself for letting that happen.
Definitely, because he won the race, basically. He would have known that the penalty was coming for Nakarinen. Sat there in second, maybe could have passed as well for the race lead. Chilled there for pretty much the entire race. And then finally gets slapped with that penalty as well. So he's back. He'll be gutted. And it's so harsh, but...
Rules are the rules.
The rules are the rules.
Rules are the
I'm
rules.
going to say that a few more times in this show.
I think we will do. Listen, Matt, we've just high-fived and we didn't mean to. What's going on up at the touchscreen?
Well, we're going to have a look at how Tino Naukarinen's race unfolded. And it all began at the very beginning, getting a pretty woeful start from pole position. And that really put him on the back foot, moving into only turn one. I mean, even the McLarens having a little look around turn one as well. Both Renaults, 1-2. What a dream start for those guys. And this, right, is going to test my pausing abilities here, but we're going to see a lot of things going on here. So this, I mean, he gets an absolutely amazing run through the hairpin. You can see here, Otmar has got his electric on charge, so he's going a little bit slower with not much deployment from his ERS. Then there's contact, and now the second part here, he's cutting the corner. He's decided that very early on after the contact. But if we get a little bit closer, the stewards have said if he had slowed down and gone round there, very much like Russia, we saw it quite a bit with the guys cutting the corners and getting penalties. Same here. If it had gone left, he wouldn't have got a penalty, but he went right, got the 3-second time penalty, and it was corner cutting. Now we're going to have a look at the penalty one more time, because I was wondering, because obviously we can see now Karinen there cuts the line. Rasmussen, I mean, goodness me, Jolien himself said that's about 1,000th of a second. But I'm looking here and I'm like, what's this? This little front right wheel as well. So it must literally be 0.5 millimetre between getting a penalty and not, and it's very, very tough and touchy. But I think some of the teams aren't particularly happy. But that's just the way it goes. And it's millimetres, Tom. Millimetres.
It is all about F1. I tell you what, in the WhatsApp groups, it is going to be going off, Matt Gallagher. We'll be debating that for a long time. The races come thick and fast in this series. And we've got another one for you on the way. Get your passports ready because we're off to Austria.
Can we retake? I don't even know any films.
My favorite track in F1 is Interlagos.
I like short tracks in general, and Brazil is kind of a short track.
Nordschleife in Nürburgring, which is not in F1 calendar.
Suzuka. Singapore for sure. It's just beautiful. Probably the lowest hairpin, had a hairpin in Monaco.
One in Belgium.
Monaco, in general.
Singapore hairpin. The castle section in Baku.
It's got to be MX vs ATV.
Either Rayman or Grand Prix 2.
It has to be Gran Turismo.
F1 2006.
Gran Turismo 3, I think.
FIFA 98. The first driver on PS1.
F1 Challenge 9902.
My favorite film is Fast and Furious. I don't know, Top Gun?
Terminator and Predator.
A Beautiful Mind.
Probably Rush.
Star Wars Return of the Jedi. Forrest Gump.
Avatar.
I've got to say my hidden talent is to ask annoying questions.
I can solve a Rubik's Cube. Does that count?
I'm good at FPS games. I'm a long sleeper.
I can cut my own hair.
All right then, welcome back to the F1 Esports Pro Series 2019 with New Balance, and what a race to kick off event 2. Action from start to finish. But eventually, after the dust settled, Renault's Cedric Tomei crossed the line in third. But guess what? Penalties meant he jumped up to take his first win. In the words of Jolien Palmer, lucky. And Matt Gallagher saying, a little bit contentious, by the way. Let's just have a quick high five. Then everyone's even now. Listen, another debut of tracks, this time for Austria's Red Bull Ring. What can we expect from this track? Which driver and their skill set is going to excel in this one?
Difficult to say, but Austria in general is a very short track. It's about the same length as Canada. I think in qualifying it's going to be key to see who can get in that front 6-7 to really then challenge for the podium for the win. Because I think if you have a poor qualifying, we saw Berezne. Where was he? He was 14th, running in 14th. I don't know where he finished, but around there, out of the points. And he is a very quick driver, top 3 I'd say. But if you have a bad qualifying, you're done for.
Yeah, it seems to be the tactic undercut. So get an early pit if you didn't do well in qualifying, and then, you know, you've got more of a chance to get some points.
Yeah, I'd say overtaking didn't look super easy in that first one, but it was wet and they didn't have DRS and the slipstream didn't seem to be massive. Austria, there's good chances. There's the hairpin at turn 2, downhill on the exit as well with a bit of DRS. So yeah. I'm hopeful we'll see a bit more spicy racing.
Yeah, more on that a bit later. Maybe I'm expecting some more dives from this and a few more lunges. Now, let's find out a bit more about one of these F1 Esports stars. Going into the final race last time out, Williams were the only team that hadn't got a point, but switch in their driver lineup change, all that in Baku, flying Finn Tino Naukonen coming in and getting a well-deserved second place. He's already been in the thick of the action today, but we spent some time with him earlier this week. Number 9, Tino Naukonen.
The F1 2018 Pro Draft, when I got picked, during the moment I was just enjoying it. Kind of just realized how big thing this is, and this is actually like my chance to make career out of this.
About to leave home for airport, where I traveled to Williams factory, and I'm ready to fly to Heathrow for F1 Esports.
I think my first F1 race I ever saw was 2007. I remember watching it with my dad, because I'm Finnish, motorsport is in my blood. It's a huge honor to be part of Williams, which has very long history, and many Finnish drivers kind of feel awesome to be one of them as well. It has been amazing what they've been doing, getting new sponsors and providing the drivers the best equipment as well. So it's been very good so far, and hopefully in the future as well. I actually like how the team is right now. We have Alvaro and Isaac. Isaac is kind of like the experienced one. He knows everything about setups. And then Alvaro is also rapid. So it's always good to have someone who can be your benchmark, and I think that's a good combination.
Williams have made changes here. We go to Baku. Tino, the main man.
We decided pretty early on that I'm actually doing the race 3, which was Baku, which was one of my favorite tracks as well.
Here we go with Naukonen, who's about to breeze past the racing point. Naukonen is second.
In the end, it was pretty good for the team. It was very good points and got us a really good chance.
Second place for Tino Naukonen, a really good drive from the Williams team.
The preparation for run 2 has been maxed out. That's pretty perfect for now, and hopefully it goes as good as event 1.
There you go. So Tino pretty much living the dream there, getting to travel with Williams. He's qualified in 7th for this next race, in with a chance for a podium. We know he's fast, no more penalties. He's got a chance of putting some points on the board, Matt.
I mean, I did just say top 6, 7, so he's just about managed to get into where I was saying you kind of need to be to challenge for a good result. I think he would have learned from that mistake. What, was it a mistake? I don't know. He kind of veered over a little bit in Canada. I think it's something that we don't see from someone like Rasmussen, who's very calm, very collected over the wheel. And well, he did win until he cut the line by
so
1
he did
millimetre.
exactly the same sort of thing.
Yeah. Rules is rules. So Jolien, listen, you're flying around as an F1 esports driver. Compare that to the F1 world. Again, you're flying around the world. How much does it take out of you as a driver?
I have to say, F1 drivers, they fly around the world a lot, but they fly around in a very good way. So they have a lot of things planned out. They're not sitting out the back for 12, 18 hours.
Yeah, they're not cramped in a seat. Is that what you're suggesting?
They're doing all right.
Okay.
But, I mean, the season's long, though, and by the end of it, you've done so many time zones, the races come thick and fast.
Yeah.
You're sort of ready for a bit of a break by the time Abu Dhabi comes.
Yeah, but just think of the air miles that you're collecting.
Brilliant.
Yeah, perfect, great. Dining out on those. Lovely stuff. But let's have a look at Austria and the qualifying and everything that stands at the moment. Matt, what are we making of this starting grid then? David Tonitsa, he's there again!
David Tonitsa on pole, but alongside Freddie Rasmussen once again. It kind of just a recurring theme. These top dogs right at the front of the field. Danny Berezne having a great qualifying as well. Up in P3, I expect him to challenge for the victory if he can get his nose in front. Patrick Kreutsch, what a great result for him as well in qualifying, P5. He struggled at Mercedes so far, but out-qualifying his teammate Brendan Lee. You've got Alvaro Carreton as well, up in the top 10.
Yeah, and Joni Tomala, another Finnish guy would be flying around to join up with his teammates down in 12th. We haven't heard much of him.
No, we haven't, but hopefully you'll be able to get into the points from there. 12th place, you're looking at the sort of bottom end of the points, but 0.4 of a second, and that's 16th place. So one mistake in one corner, Tom, and you are looking at the back of the grid. That's how close it is.
Yeah, indeed. So David Tonitza at the start. We expect another win for him. He's got a soft toy. He's got the Tonzilla with him tonight. Expect another win?
Lucky mascot, maybe.
Okay, well listen, let's go straight to the casters right now. We've got Jolyon Palmer, we've got Jack Nicholls, we've got Davide Vosecchi. They're a trio, the Three Musketeers.
All for one and one for all. Yeah? No, we're not going to carry on with that. We're looking forward to this one. Fredrik Rasmussen and David Tonitza, the two guys on pole position, the two guys at the top of the championship battle. Davide, tell me about Austria.
Will be interesting.
The track, yeah.
Very good straight from corner 1 to the approach of corner 2. Uphill, the DRS extremely important. They will be extreme also the next break, because after the hairpin there is a downhill. The approach corner 3 and the break there makes the difference.
A very short circuit, this, and one that can lead to good overtaking, as you just alluded to. So let's get cracking with this race, shall we? Really interested in this one. David Tonitza on pole position, Freddie Rasmussen alongside him. All 5 lights are on. Quite a long hold, and then we're racing in Russia down towards the first corner. A 90-degree right-hander, and Rasmussen's got a good start. Does he fancy it into turn 1? No, Tonitza goes round the outside, well held by the Ferrari driver. Daniel Berejne up into 3rd position, then Patrick Kreutsch and Enzo Benito are side by side. Here comes Rasmussen again, up into turn 3, and again Tonitza is just about holding the place. Someone's going in a little bit late further back. Bit of a collision in there. But Tonitza, once again, is under pressure from Rasmussen coming down the hill. Rasmussen doesn't fancy it this time around either. So, nice clean start, Jolyon, for David Tonitza.
Yeah, he's done everything right so far. Held it around the outside at turn 1, but Rasmussen doesn't like a lunge, does he? He had a chance again at turn 1, was a bit early on the brakes, and then the next 2 corners, Tonitza just showed him the outside, and there was no way he could go there.
Now Karinen's gone up from 7th to 6th. The 2 Renaults of Otmir and Tomei are in 7th and 8th. Kiefer and Brendan Lee completing the top 10. Lee qualified in 13th, so he's made up a couple of places early on. But now Rasmussen, as we saw for the whole race in Montreal, Davide, is on the attack, but different conditions here. He'll have the DRS eventually, and it's nice and dry.
Yeah, you're right. Will be easier to try the overtake today, because with dry will be easier. Extremely important, maintain the rhythm of Tonitza, because seems very strong. And look at him. He's using the track. He opened the line. He opened the line till the white line, then curb, outside curb. He's just perfect on his side. It's not easy to maintain his rhythm.
Good to see Daniel Berejne in the fight. He didn't finish in Bahrain, didn't finish in China, and a 7th place in Baku is his only point score of the season so far. So he's lurking there in 3rd position, the man who won 2 races last year for the Mercedes team. But we're on board with Rasmussen, looking at Rasmussen in the bottom left as he chases down David Tonitza, the championship leader. These two, the top 2 in the championship. So the way this goes could be key for the rest of the season, and Rasmussen will know that and want to maybe start to stamp a little bit of authority onto the championship. Super wide coming into that penultimate corner at turn 9.
Using all the road on the entries and pretty much on the exit there as well, really opening it up. Now they should get DRS, and Rasmussen's so close. He could have had a lunge at turn 3 there again, but didn't quite go for it. But now he should have a great chance up towards turn 2 and then 3 again.
Brendan Lee in 9th place. That's the fastest lap of the race so far. How close is the Red Bull as they come up into turn 3? We've got Kreutsch on the attack for Enzo Benito, but he's not quite close enough.
Always on the outside, always on the outside. Now he needs to try, but he needs to try to take the line on this side. But look how Tonitza is closing the line. It's just perfect.
But this is going to be a long race for Tonitza if he's defending like this for the next 15 laps.
He's got good straight line speed, because Rasmussen had DRS open, a bit of a slipstream. He still didn't really catch a huge amount there, so it's going to be lucky for Tonitza, but at the moment, just placing his car in all the right areas.
And then we've got Bonito and Kreutsch and now Karinen and Otmir, and Brendan Lee's got past Cedric Tomei then. So our race winner in Montreal, Cedric Tomei, loses out to Brendan Lee, who's up into 8th position now in the Mercedes. Down towards the final corner they come at turn 10 and out to complete another lap. And also that was quite a long race in Montreal, because of the weather conditions. It ended up being a slower race. So here they're whacking through the laps pretty quickly. Brendan Lee sets the fastest lap of the race again. But again, Rasmussen's there. Is he going to do it this time?
DRS open, try on the other side. Outside line, now he needs to cross the line. Rasmussen have a fantastic exit to try at the next break, corner 3, but look, Tonitza is just perfect in traction. He placed the car in the right place, but look, now he's under pressure.
Oh, I thought we were getting a dummy there.
We've got to go inside. Rasmussen's got to go inside. Every time there's a just about a car on the inside coming into the braking area. Tonitza's holding that line, just veering to the middle, because Rasmussen's struggling to make any inroads on the outside. He keeps trying the same thing, and he's getting closer and closer, but so far not making it happen.
Brendan Lee on a wonderful charge, now up into 7th place, past both of the Renault drivers. On board with the Hungarian Daniel Berezsny coming into the final couple of corners. He's there in the Alfa Romeo, the 19-year-old from Budapest. Comes out over the start-finish straight and opens up that rear wing, and he's just watching this Tonitza-Rasmussen battle as we once again climb the hill in the Styrian Mountains up towards turn 3.
Good exit from Rasmussen, good exit. Now he's improving and increasing his speed with the use of the DRS, and he's going to try. No, he's closing every time the door, Tonitza, just perfect. And look, this exit, usually special, traction, just fantastic, Tonitza. Probably very high speed and then fantastic in traction.
Yeah, he's getting great exits out of turn 3. Again, there's that inside, but Rasmussen goes to the outside and he's not making it through there. You can try and switch back, but then you're only on the outside for the next left-handers as well. You can't even get that close in that point. It's into turn 2 and 3 that the magic needs to happen for Rasmussen, because he's really good through 1 and out of 1.
Through the left-hander at turn 7, through the little flip back at 8 that takes them up through the avenue of trees that then descends down into turn 9. There is Brendan Lee on his very pleasant charge up the field. He's managed to get, and into the pits comes Tonitza and Daniel Berezsny. So they're going to come into the pits for a medium tyre, and that could really play into the hands of the Ferrari driver, the fact that Rasmussen has stayed out there for another lap.
We need to check out the pit stop time is up there. Look at it, because it will be extreme, the fight just the next lap when Rasmussen will be in the pit lane.
2.5 seconds then for Tonitza. Out he comes back onto the race circuit, so he's in 12th place. He's got a decent amount of clear air actually, so that's very beneficial for Tonitza. Let's hear from Rasmussen.
Okay, Freddie, push.
Push is the message. You've got some clear air, Freddie. You've looked quicker than David Tonitza. Now's the time to get it done. He's only 7/10 of a second ahead of Enzo Benito, and then it's 7/10 back to Naukkarinen.
Seems that he's struggling because Bonito was not so close the lap before. Seems that the rivals are gaining on him. Probably not his best lap time of his race.
That's going to be critical as well. I think he's coming into the pits on the inside down to that fast turn 8. And he's trying to go for the overcut, but I don't think he's been quick enough. Benito got released. That was so close to taking the speed limit as well. But Benito was stuck in behind Berezsny as well in the early stage, so he's trying to do the same to Berezsny as Rasmussen is for the lead.
So here comes David Tonitza. He won't inherit the race lead just yet because Brendan Lee is going a lap longer than the rest of the soft runners, and then you've got your Opmirs and your Tomes and your Huisis that are out on the medium compounder tyre. Here comes Rasmussen through the right-hander, and Tonitza's still in front. He'll have 1 lap fresher tyres, but he is still behind and ultimately in 2nd place, and that is a place gained for Enzo Benito in the McLaren. He's now in front of Daniel Berezsny's Alfa Romeo for a net 3rd position.
So it was Benito going quickly as much as Rasmussen not doing a super in-lap then. Benito's made the difference, and he's jumped into net 3rd. Now we can go and chase Rasmussen down, because that 3 that we can see now are going to be the lead 3. Tonitza, Rasmussen and Benito once the top 8 all pit, which they've got to do.
And we'll see what Brendan Lee can do as well, because he's staying out longer on his soft tyres compared to everybody else who's on the mediums. The Renaults were the only drivers in the sort of top gang that started on the medium compound of tyre. Jarno Opmeer started in 9th place. The other Renault of Cedric Thome started in 6th position, so a bit of a surprise for Thome to start on the medium tyres, but that's what he's elected to do. Does Brendan Lee stay out this time? Yes, he does, as they come down through the final right-hander. Patrick Crutch now is right behind Daniel Berezsny, and that's for a net 4th position in the Mercedes up towards the right-hander of turn 1, and the gap between Tonitza and Rasmussen is back down to half a second. So Rasmussen's going to be starting that fight again.
It's getting closer, Rasmussen. But strange the strategy of Renault Lee, because he's almost half a race distance and he's still with the soft tires. Very strange. Usually you have a lot of degradation and your lap time is not any more competitive, but it seems that he's still running very well. So he will have fresher tires just at the end of the race.
Lap 8 of 18 in the Austrian round of the F1 Esports New Balance Pro Series of 2019. Here is Cedric Tomei, the race winner from the last race. His teammate Jarno Opmeer staying out with him, and Brendan Lee pits now then. Brendan Lee comes into the pits. You're looking on the inside at Daniel Berejne, but let's see what Brendan Lee's pit stop is and where he comes out in that net battle, because he's going to be there or thereabouts. I think he was 6th before he came into the pits. We've seen some drivers lose and some drivers gain during that pit window. So now it's a Renault 1-2, like it was in Canada for a little bit before it all went a little pear-shaped for the French squad. And Tonitsa then is net lead. Rasmussen, Benito, Berejne, Krush, now Karinen Lee then. So he hasn't made a huge amount of positions, but he's got some fresher tyres.
Exactly, that's the strategy then for Brendan Lee. Go really long on those soft tyres, and now he's got better tyres for the next half of the race. It's Tonitsa that was the first to jump in the pits, him and Berejne, who are going to be on the worst tyres, and Rasmussen's really, really close again. Now, if we thought the start of the race was going to be long for Tonitsa, he's now got slightly older tyres than Rasmussen, and we're back to square one.
So Freddie Rasmussen in the Red Bull, at the moment in 7th place, but there are 5 cars yet to pit. So this is basically the battle for the lead of the race in Austria, as we are about to complete half race distance. There you see Rasmussen on the left, towards the final 2 turns.
Very important last 2 corners, the exit of the last one, because already from this straight, for the starting straight, Rasmussen is going to have the DRS open, using the extra speed to get closer to Tonitsa, have a good exit from turn 1, and then try the attack.
And that's the beat you hear in the
try everything now.
From when you were on board with the car, that means now's the time to open your rear wing. The drivers press the button and they climb the hill, and Rasmussen is not quite there, but down into 4, he'll be close again.
He doesn't want that inside at all, does he? He wants to be pretty much ahead in a straight line before trying to do anything on the braking. Rasmussen, he's so close again down to turn 3. Look, there's half a car on the inside, but Rasmussen's trying to go for the less favourable option on the outside, basically. Benito and McLaren is catching the 2 of them again.
I'm sure that to win this race you need to risk a bit more. Tonitsa is driving perfectly. He's defending his position in the perfect way. If Rasmussen wants to win today, he needs to risk a bit more.
And if he wants to close the gap to Tonitsa in the lead of the championship, he's got to finish in front of it.
He's driving, thinking about the championship in some ways, because he doesn't want to risk any sort of move. But the problem is, the guy that's beating him in the championship is the guy that's ahead of him. So if he's driving more thinking about the championship, he'd go for a move on the guy that he needs to beat right now. This is closer than he's been before. Into turn 1. Now he needs to get the exit really, really tight. He's understeering a bit more, but now we'll get DRS up to turn 2. He's got to go inside here if he possibly can.
Here we go then.
Try.
What's Tonitsa going to do? He still holds the same line, and Rasmussen doesn't go for it, and now Benito and Berejne, and now Karinen goes past Kruch. So the Williams driver up into 5th place, then Tino Karinen. Down the hill they come towards turn 4. Nothing doing. He's just happy to sit there at the moment, Rasmussen. Lap 11 of 18.
And it's getting more difficult because now Benito and Berejne, they are closer. So if you make a mistake in brake, you are going to lose the podium position. So it will be not easy for Rasmussen now to manage the last few laps, because you have the extra pressure of being forward very closely.
I mean, he is putting a heap of pressure on Tonitsa, there's no doubt about that. He's doing basically everything he can without actually going for an overtaking move. If Tonitsa has one little lock-up, one slide or anything, Rasmussen will be through. But he just doesn't want to take any sort of risk. He got a bit wide there, Tonitsa, as well, coming on to the start-finish straight again. Turn 1, he's a little bit further back. I mean, it's 2:10, but he's still a little bit further back than he was on the last lap.
So there's the eyes of Fredrik Rasmussen, who we're on board with, down in the bottom left. Tonitsa knows that he's close, so he moves over to just hold the centre of the road. Now it's this drive out of turn 3 where Tonitsa is very, very good there, but then Rasmussen closes in under acceleration with the DRS down into 4.
Lunge. Oh, come on, it's on the cards.
But we are believing in it, so sooner or later we will see the overtakes, because seems that he's strong enough. Because look, here Rasmussen is perfect. He can be close to the car in front of him in this fast sector that usually you have the stress of the air of the car in front and you cannot be so close. So I think that Rasmussen is a bit quicker. He just need to try and to believe in the overtakes.
Look how much Tunitz is struggling for outright pace as well as having to defend for Rasmussen. Because pretty much, if he had a 3-second penalty right now, he'd be down about 8th or 9th. They're all so close. Benito just behind as well. And Beresne. Brendan Lee's up to 6th as well. He's on a charge, remember, with those fresher tyres.
Yeah, Patrick Crutch actually has dropped a couple of places. He fell behind Naukkarinen, then his teammate Lee, and now Cedric Tomei, who's on the soft compactor tyres. So we'll keep an eye out on the Renault's progress too. Through the right-hander again at 3, up at the top of the hill. And then down once more. We're on lap 13 of 18.
This is the one. He's got a big run. I say that's so hopeful, isn't it?
It's a bit risky down at 4, isn't it, with the gravel on the outside?
Yeah, if you miss the corner, and the break there, you went too long. If you go too long there, you're going to lose everything. Podium position, but also point position, because there's gravel and there's no place to risk. To be honest, the place where you need to risk is turn 2. There's a big escape road in asphalt, and also if you miss the corner, you can maintain a good position. Look, it's just perfect here in the first corner, but we need to underline how Tunitz is driving. It's the second race where he's not making any mistakes, so it's not easy to be at that level.
3/10 the gap. Started a new lap. He's in a bit deeper on the brakes this time, Rasmussen, but I think he got away with that. He might be slightly closer on the run up to turn 2. This is where he needs to try and do it.
He's so close to the back of the Ferrari, coming up the hill. Tunitz covers the inside line. Just a 1/10 of a second between them as Davide bashes the desk.
You know why? Also because when he chooses the outside line, Rasmussen needs to break deeper, just to don't let Tonitza open the line. Because if not, Tonitza is like, look, he opened the line in entry, he take the inside curb, then he open the line exit. I mean, he's not create any type of trouble to Tonitza. That is just doing his normal line.
It's a bit too easy for Tunitza. I mean, it's not easy at all in many ways, but what Davide's saying, yeah, it's true, basically. He's braking too early on the outside. Tunitza's got it comfortably covered, and then he can get the exit perfectly as well. The problem with turn 2 is it's got quite a big curve on the way in, so it's actually it's actually easier to defend in many ways. Tunitza's moving to the inside, and then that gap is harder to get on the inside for Rasmussen. Into turn 3, there's a massive gaping gap on the inside, on the right-hand side, and that's where you can take a bit of a lunge if you fancied it.
Here we go then, up the hill, towards the right-hander. The Red Bull sits in behind. Back on the power again. Super close to the back of Tunitza as they then start to descend once more.
Let me say that Tonitza has a super Italian heart, because look, 7 cars behind him, and he could hold everyone for all the race. Fantastic Tonitza that is so calm, so determined, he's not making any mistake. And look the group behind him. He's 100% under pressure. Nothing, like a normal one.
Forza Tonitza.
Forza Tonitza.
Lap 15 of 18.
Brendan Lee's dropped, down to 10th. Something's happened to him, and he was on the fresher tyres. I thought he might charge, but that's not going to happen. Look at the 2 Renaults. They're on the soft tyre as well, so a few laps to go. 6th and 7th, Tomei and Opmir. And they're in this lead pack. Look at them right there behind Naukkarinen. Those 3 again.
Yeah, absolutely. That didn't go well last time out in Montreal. Here they come up the hill into the first corner again. Rasmussen is a quarter of a second back. In fact, it's Bonito that's a little closer to Rasmussen, I think. Now, what is Tomei going to do here on Naukkarinen coming up into the right-hander? Lunges in.
Tomei did it!
Tomei nearly did it. He's going to have the DRS again, but so will the Williams in front as they come down the hill into turn 3. He's also got his teammate Jarno Opmir right behind. And that's a little bit of team play, I think, from the Renaults there, as up the inside goes Jarno Opmir to try and get past Naukkarinen.
Opmir did it, right? He took the position on his teammate, Opmir. It was just fantastic because he stayed outside on the first break and then he prepared the second break. And look, Opmir now, with the fresher tires, soft compound seems to have an extra grip, and now he's going to attack Naukkarinen. And then Berzinski in front of him with Alfa Romeo.
Here come the leaders, out again to start the penultimate lap of the race, and Tonitza it is who has the lead, 0.4 of a second ahead of Freddie Rasmussen in second. Enzo Benito doing a good job in the McLaren in third place. Never had a podium in F1 Esports, so this will be his first if he can hold on and take it. The 24-year-old Italian, 2 Italians on the podium. That'll make a happy Davide. And in front, Otmir's going to go for it up the inside on Naukkarinen. He's on the brakes and he's done it. Oh, he's taken 2. Was there something going on with Daniel Berejne? Because I saw a bit of debris fly up and Berejne suddenly has lost a couple of places. So whether he's had a bit of contact with Benito or something for third place, the race leaders now are right together. That's how you overtake.
What a move, Otmir. 2 cars at the same brake. He was just perfect the inside there because he braked deep on the inside. He took the position and then he could use the extra grip to overtake also Berezny that probably had the contact before. But what a fantastic race for Otmir that is 4th, starting from 9th. 5 places gained.
And it's all a commitment as well. He's really committed on that inside and passing Nakarinen. I'm sure that Berezny had some sort of other issue going on because he just didn't accelerate from the corner. But that's what Rasmussen needs to do. He needs to try and make something happen because this has been basically his view the entire race. Nothing's changing. Last lap, this is about what he's been. Is he going to finally go for that dive on the inside? Turn 2.
2 more chances. Right. Here comes Freddie Rasmussen. Tonitza covers the inside. Oh, they get really close on the exit. Gets on the power. Really good drive out now. This has to be it for Freddie Rasmussen. It's now or never. Coming down the hill. Into the right-hander. Can he find the inside line or will Tonitza hold it? Tonitza holds it. Covers it off. They bang wheels. Rasmussen looks all the way around the outside, but he can't do it. Tonitza holds on. Rasmussen was marginally in front. What happened to Otmir there?
Believe me, he's on podium. He tried, he was close to the podium position, but probably Benito maintained the lead, maintained the position.
They'll be side by side into turn 5, the left-hander, but I think Benito's hung on. It must have been a lunge at turn 3.
It's Tonitza's radio.
Yes. Welcome back, Tonzilla. Great race, David. Solid, consistent.
Tonzilla is back, and he takes victory across the line in Austria. Brilliant drive from Tonitza. Half a second ahead of Freddie Rasmussen. 3rd for Enzo Benito. Otmir in the end was 4th. Great drive from them. There's Tonzilla, Davide.
It was just perfect. It was calm. It was determined. It was just perfect, and it was the best one in defending position. So well done to him, Italian.
A little bit of frustration for Freddie Rasmussen, do you think?
I imagine a fair amount. He's just been looking at the back of first place for 2 races now. And not quite made it. That last lap was so close, but not going to do it on the outside.
Let's go join the cuddly toy and the race winner, Rosanna Tennant, if you see what I mean.
David Tonitza, congratulations. Freddie was putting the pressure on you there. How tense were you?
Yeah, it was very difficult. I slowed the pack a bit in the first stint. Then I tried to pull away at lap 6 when I pitted. I didn't manage to do it, so in lap 16 I started to push with ERS and everything, and I made it.
Because it was incredibly close on that last lap. He really made a lunge for you. Were you worried that perhaps all you'd worked for was going to be blown away?
Yeah, of course I was, but I managed during the race to save ERS, so I was a bit saved in the end.
And can I meet your dinosaur, please? Tonzilla.
Tonzilla.
Show us your dinosaur. Well done, David.
Thank you.
Beautiful stuff there from David Tonitza. Loving Davide, calling him the Terminator as well. Look at the results. Round 5 of Austria. David Tonitza led from start to finish to take his 3rd victory in the first 5 races of the season. Matt Gallagher said it's too early to start talking about champion, but I take those words back from him. Rasmussen with another podium finishing 2nd, whilst Jarno Otmir continued his good form by rising 6 places from 9th to finish 3rd. And his Renault teammate Cedric Thomé followed up with his win in race 1 with 4th place. So here we are then. Jolien, Matt Gallagher, talk to me about that race. It seemed like it was a Rasmussen, Tonitza. When was Rasmussen going to make a move? He could have gone earlier. What did you make of that race?
He could have gone at all. I mean, he didn't really, he was there the entire race, and only on the last lap he had a bit of a look around the outside. I'd say Tonitza drove incredibly well to not make any mistakes under that level of pressure for so long was brilliant. But I think Rasmussen needs to have a bit more aggression to try and win these.
Yeah, he said he's cool, calm, collected, but a bit more anger. That's what we wanted.
Yeah, we did, and I can't imagine what it was like to commentate, but just watching, I was like, just go for the move. There's a gap, please. But I'm going to say something slightly controversial.
Here we go. Everybody,
ready? Right. But I think that if he doesn't put that aggression into his game, I don't think he'll be champion, because he's allowed Tonzilla, I don't know who's doing that. Oh, it's up there. Thanks, Jack. But yeah, Tonzilla, it was made so easy for him, too easy. And I get that it's 18 points and it's going towards the championship standings, but if you keep letting Tonzilla win, you're not going to win.
Yeah, and he was the one to catch. He's in front of him. Rasmussen knows he needs to make up those points. It just felt like he was like, do you know what? I'm going to take the 18 points here, let him have the 7 extra. I'll catch him in another race. But you'll run out of races eventually.
Yeah, you can't be settling for second behind the guy that you need to beat. You can settle for second if someone else is winning the race and Tonitza's at the back, but not if you need to beat the guy that's leading. Then you've got to try and do something to change that, and that was a great chance at the start as well. Seems a long way to go now.
So I wanted to ask Jelen, you're in this situation, subconsciously you know the track inside out, you know how to race it. At which points was he thinking, as a driver, I'll take him on corner 8, or I'll take him on this point? Are you thinking that, or are you just trying to settle into comfortably driving it and taking an opportunity if it comes along?
No, massively. You've got 2 corners around Austria you can overtake on, turn 2 and turn 3. This is turn 2, where every time Tonitza was just covering it really nicely, but Rasmussen wasn't forcing the issue at all there. It was too comfortable. And then you got turn 3, where Tonitza often wasn't defending at all, and you got the hole inside that you could have a lunge at. They're the 2 opportunities. The rest of the lap is kind of just positioning yourself to be close enough to attack in those places.
Okay, all right. So Tonitza for the 3rd one. We've got Silverstone to go, haven't we?
We do. No, we don't want Tonitza. Someone else.
Someone else. Okay, perfect. Right, more reaction and insight from these 2 guys, plus our 3rd and final race of this event. More top-class racing still to come from Silverstone.
You want to tell that? That's so nice.
There are many, honestly. Probably Silverstone.
Hungary.
Melbourne.
Paul Ricard in France.
Suzuka. Eau Rouge.
That will be turn 4 in Brazil then.
Loves. Probably say the long right-hander in the final sector of USA.
YouTube.
Netflix. YouTube.
YouTube. I'm a YouTuber, so I will say Netflix.
YouTube.
Lewis Hamilton.
In this moment,
Charles Leclerc. Rafa Nadal, no doubt on it.
Peter Forsberg. Sebastian Vettel. Zinedine Zidane always was my favorite idol of all time.
I've got to say, making my way downtown.
Well, I believe that it's better that I don't sing.
Some kind of song from Eminem.
The Ark takes a fool to remain sane.
I don't like singing.
Good question. Maybe pasta.
I would go for pizza.
Pasta.
Pizza.
Gotta make pizza.
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 Why not both?
Fishing.
I can do a really good impression of Donald Duck.
I have a weird thumb. I can put it behind the hand.
All right, then, welcome back to the GFinity Arena here for the F1 Esports Series 2019 with New Balance. And we've just had our 2nd race, and the leader, Tonzilla, led from start to finish in Austria, fighting off a big challenge from rival Freddie Rasmussen. But in the end, the Italian did enough to take the full 25 points. 1 race left. And here we get into it. Now, I'm still joined, thank you very much for the applause, by Jolyon Palmer and, of course, Matt Gallagher. Now, Jolyon is no stranger to racing. Earlier in the show, we found out Renault's Jarno Opmeer had made the move from racing to esports. But one man who has begun to make the switch the other way is McLaren's Enzo Benito. Having never been in a racing car before, he completed at the 2018 Race of Champions before returning earlier this year for the 2019 edition and putting esports drivers firmly on the map in the process.
This would be a huge scalp for sim racer Enzo Benito, and it looks like he could do it. No! Oh!
Benito wins.
Obviously, I knew that the simulator could give me a good base to drive the cars, but I didn't expect to be able to get that feeling And the pressure I had, because obviously you don't want to crash the cars for the first time, you're representing the sim racers, so it was not an easy job. It really exploded. I mean, pretty much a gamer that beats real drivers. Every media now has got that attention on sim racers. The gap is gonna retreat even more and make sim racers are getting their chance in the real world. McLaren is just amazing. They invested in us. They always believed in us, and that what makes us even stronger between us, I think. With Lando, I mean, we've known for a couple of years now. Lando is one of the guys that inspires me a lot, because as being a real racer, he's also driving simulators most of the time. So humble, it's so nice to stick around with him. He's a really nice guy, and he helps the sim racing team. He gets along really well with the team. You always want to beat him, but at the end of the day, we are all friends, and yeah, we hang out pretty well. We had a couple of unlucky races last year, but this year, with the preparation being done, with all the experience we took from last year, we feel prepared, and yeah, we want to be at the top. You always aim for the win, but competition is really strict. It's really tight. I mean, one mistake and you see yourself at the back. So it's about who is going to be more consistent, I think, who makes less mistakes, who is really pushing for what he wants.
So here we are, and that is live. There's Enzo. He knows we're talking about him. He can probably hear us. We may get a smile. No, just a drink of water. Perfect. So listen, just here with Jolien and Matt. He's holding back. He's staying focused because we're going to Silverstone next. How impressive is that then, Jolien? Because you're looking at Enzo making that transition. Are the F1 drivers a little bit worried? We know from McLaren's shadow that Lando was actually here earlier today just to mingle with his friends, his drivers, sim racers, and support them. So are F1 drivers a little bit worried how good these guys are getting?
Well, they're not competing against each other at the moment, so they're not. I'll tell you, that Race of Champions stuff is incredible. Yeah. Beating Lucas Di Grassi. Yeah. And you get barely any time in those cars to go and hoon it round for a minute and figure it all out. It's really impressive, that.
Yeah, they're rattled, is what he's basically saying there, Jolien. Matt, so listen, Jolien's saying about that. Enzo, how does it then transition back to the esports and trying to progress and maybe do as well as Tonitza's doing at the moment?
I think Enzo's a seriously talented chap, because he's not only done real racing, which you've shown with Lucas Di Grassi and beating him, but also he's in the sim racing world in many different games. So he's kind of showing his adaptability and being able to pick up the game, just go on F1 2019, bam, he's quick. So he's not there right at the top, but he's so consistent that he's always there in the points. You'll see him just scoring, and that's how McLaren did well last year.
Yeah, and it was great. So Lando was here earlier on and supporting those guys. That's nice to see as well, the world of F1 and F1 esports combining. That's why we've got 10 F1 teams here at the GFinity Arena. It's getting closer and closer, isn't it?
It is, and even watching these guys at the wheel, everything they're doing is, opening up the track as much as they can, playing about with the ERS and everything. The technique that they're doing is pretty much the same as Lando's doing in the simulator, and then the real thing as well. So there's a big overlap, and it's getting closer all the time.
Yeah. By the way, I was going to ask Jolien, what's it like casting with Jack and Davide? It's quite tricky to get a word in edgeways sometimes with those guys, isn't it?
With those two, it's two musketeers plus one, I reckon.
But listen, let's look at the grid then before we go to Silverstone and before we hear the dulcet tones of Jack Nicholls and Davide. Looking at the starting grid at the moment, before we get to that race. Tonitza doing the business again with Freddie Rasmussen. Will we see Freddie Rasmussen go for that overtake as the drivers get ready?
I hope so. They're on the front of the grid, Tonitza and Rasmussen. You've got Marcel Kiefer, great qualifying from him in third.
Unsung hero, I'd say. He keeps producing.
Yeah, he was very upset in his last two races, so hopefully he'll be able to get a good result from third on the grid. Again, Patrick Kreutsch again for Mercedes, up in ninth, doing pretty well indeed. And Simon Weigang being picked out for Renault. He didn't do the first two races, but he's been preparing 11 hours a day.
Listen, if you want to be in my gang, get with the Weigang, because this is his first race in the F1 esports world, and I'm expecting big things from him in Silverstone.
I never get tired of your puns. I really don't. Brendan Lee down in 16th. Gianfranco Giglioli, the other Ferrari driver, down in 18th. So the Constructors' Championship is wide open at the moment.
It is indeed. Now, listen, from the first season, the second season, Cembulik Bassi, what's happening there? We spoke to him before the show started. He's a driver that we'd expect a little bit more from.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what's going on with him. I've kind of just spoken to him, off camera and being like, Jem, what's going on? And he's just like, I'm not quick enough. He kind of says, I haven't put enough time into just purely focusing in on the game, and that shows.
Yeah, we try and show that the personal element, the real story, the real drivers, and get that access. And they are more prepped, more than they've ever been in any race. This is the third year. Excuse me as I spray everywhere over you because of the excitement. $500,000 as a prize pool. I see the pressure. Are you beginning to see the pressure on these guys?
Well, no, not from the first two races. It's been very calm, collected, and we haven't seen too many incidents, so I'm hoping I've just cursed it all, and now we're going to see a crazy Silverstone race.
OK, so last year, take you back then, Brendan Lee, the man did OK in the last race in Austria, got up to 4th, I believe. So what can we expect from him? He knows how good he is on Silverstone. If he doesn't have the pace, he's going to struggle, but we know the quality's there. Form is temporary, class is permanent.
Yeah, we had a very difficult Austria, actually. I think it was Canada where he had the second place, which would have given him a bit of a boost. But I don't think mentally he'll be struggling at all. Maybe a little bit, actually, when you think he's so used to winning, and now he's quite a little bit far back. I don't think in terms of pace, just qualifying, he's not seeming to get that right. A 2-times F1 Esports champion down in 16th. We would have been wetting our lips last year at the prospect of someone else winning. And now this year, he can't seem to get anywhere near the front. So I'd like to see him do well, but maybe not from 16th.
Not from 16th. Where will you be sitting and watching? You'll be in with the audience?
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
sit next to you. Perfect. Good. I'm just securing that. Felt like I was back at school then. Right, let's find out what the commentators think. Jack, Davide, Jolyon, what do we make of this race going into it? And Brendan Lee, no success yet.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough for him today, really, starting from 16th on the grid. It's been a really tough season for Lee, although he did well in that last race, didn't he, in Austria? Climbed up the order, but in the end couldn't make it stick. So what are we looking for ahead of Silverstone? Once again, we've got Tonitza and Freddie Rasmussen on the front row.
I'm excited. That front row, this time, we're going to see fireworks.
Yeah, guaranteed.
Freddie's just listened to us do that, and I'm sure if he's not revved up from missing out on those first two, this is going to be the one.
That must be a bit weird for a driver, Davide, that you're sitting there at the start of the race and then you hear everything the media are saying about you. Like, that can't be fun.
Not easy, not easy. Believe me, he needs to try the first lap, just at the start. Do it, because Silverstone is tricky. You have the first right that when you start you can be flat, and then you have a first corner that is immediately aggressive. It can be probably the key of the race, and if you take the leadership, can change everything.
Okay, so let's have a look at this Silverstone circuit. Davide was just describing it beautifully, but now here it is for your eyes. Start, finish straight down into the hairpin at the Vale, and then through the left-hander and out onto the Wellington Straight, round through Luffield. Village, not Vale. Come on, it's Silverstone. I got to get this right, haven't I? But now the tension is building. The final race of the evening, which will take us to the halfway point in the 2019 F1 Esports New Balance season. And this is what it all comes down to. This is why everybody is gathered here today, to see what they can do. The gap at the top of the championship is 20 points between Tonitza and Rasmussen. So if Rasmussen beats Tonitza, that comes down to 13 points. All 5 lights are on. And we're racing at Silverstone. Who's going to get the best start? Patrick Crutch has already jumped the start. The Red Bull is looking up the inside as they come into turn 1. Looks like it's a little bit damp conditions potentially at Silverstone as they come up towards the hairpin for the first time, and Rasmussen doesn't quite go for it. There around the outside comes Marcel Kiefer in the racing point, but he's not able to do it. David Tonitza in the Ferrari holds the lead. Rasmussen second, Kiefer third, Berezne fourth, Holtzman fifth, and Rasmussen could be under pressure here from the racing point into Brooklands. Not quite close enough. So Tonitza gets the start and holds the lead. So here we go again.
Here we go again. It was just perfect Tonitza because he started very well. Yeah, he's up the track. It's not completely dry, and it's even more difficult for the driver. But Tonitza was just perfect. He started very well, and then he managed the first corner very well. In quali, he showed a great speed. Tonitza being 1/10 and a half faster than everyone else. Today, he's under pressure immediately from Rasmussen.
We're on board with Marcel Kiefer, briefly, who was in third place. Bit of a slide for Daniel Berezne in the Alfa Romeo behind, but now they all tuck in to try and get the slipstream into Stowe corner.
Berezne under a bit of pressure. I think he got wide out of Beckett. I should know Silverstone as well.
Yeah, it's difficult, these corner names, isn't it?
No. So, end of lap 1, Tonitza ahead of Rasmussen. This is, again, exactly how we left off the last race. Only this one is a little bit more difficult to overtake in theory. But has Rasmussen had his Weetabix in the break? Is he going to throw some sort of lunge. He's going to be close already here into Village, but it's a bit too far back probably. Right-hand hairpin. Oh, so close.
Super close. Now we'll get another DRS on the run into Brooklands, and I guess that maybe the positive for Rasmussen is that's somewhere you can get around the outside, which is the line he loves. Here he comes then, opens the DRS, super close to the back of Tanitsa this time, into the left-hander, nothing doing. Kiefer there in third position, fourth for Daniel Berejne, Holtzman in fifth, as we go on board with Rasmussen.
Those corners there, so we've got Village in the loop, the tight right, then the tight left, and then that long run into Brooklands. There will be DRS on the next lap. So if Rasmussen could be there, as he was on this lap, he's surely going to be able to have a good crack passing him outside or inside, because then Luffield leads straight into it.
Lap 2 of 13. Into Maggots and Beckett's. The right, left out through Chapel and onto the hanger straight. Still no DRS yet for Freddie Rasmussen, but even without that, he's looking pretty dangerous to the back of David Tonitsa, and coming into Stowe Corner, as I nearly die, the Red Bull tries to go around the outside and can't quite get the job done.
Try! No, but to be honest, it seems that Tonitsa is not quick like the last time on the straight. Seems that he's struggling a bit on the maximum speed, and look, Rasmussen looks quicker on the straight. It can be an advantage for him. Probably he did something on the setup to try to have an extra speed on the straight. Seems close enough to try the attack.
Oh no, surely that was the inside line that time. He almost had to lift off the throttle, he was so close to the back of Tonitsa into turn 3, but still we wait. And now we'll get DRS then, down the Wellington straight into Brooklands. 3/10 away, DRS should help, 2/10 in closing, 1/10. What's happening at the front? He's trying to go all the way around the outside.
He's in! He's in! Come on, believe in yourself! Yes! Rasmussen, he did it! Come on, today was just spectacular, right? Because we suffered so much for him. He was every time trying and not happening, but today was just perfect. Outside line in that corner is not easier.
We knew the outside was going to work. We said it all day. And finally, Rasmussen. The thing with this track, though, actually, the outside led to the inside, and that's how that worked down at Brooklands. Really nice move, so close. And Tonitsa was very fair as well. Luffield gave him some space.
Yeah.
What pace has he got now? Because DRS open for him, down the hanger straight. Can he stick with Rasmussen and have another go back?
Or does he have Marcel Kiefer right behind him here? We're on board with Kiefer coming into Stowe Corner. Rasmussen then has the lead. Tonitsa in second. There's Marcel Kiefer in the bottom left, in the racing point. The 21-year-old German, fourth in Bahrain, third in China. Was right at the top of the championship standings, but slipped away a little bit with a 8th in Baku and a 14th in Montreal. And all of that means in the championship, Kiefer's down to 6th place. Here they come to start lap 4 of 13 in Silverstone. And, well, Rasmussen's got a bit of an advantage, but it's not massive, and he's going to get DRS through the left-hander Tonitsa. Out onto the Wellington straight.
He's going to be reasonably close with the DRS. He's half a second away, so Rasmussen was a couple of tenths closer at this point on the last lap, but the DRS should at least help him to stick with Rasmussen. He's bringing Kiefer right with him.
No overtakes that time coming through Brooklands. This was the overtake on board with Rasmussen.
Tonitsa closed the line to maintain the position to save his place, but look, here is the difficulty. On the outside, Rasmussen he tried, and then he was inside on the next one. He forced a bit to open the line. It was just perfect. He prepared it. It's 2 races that he's doing thinking about that, but then he make it perfectly, yeah?
Tonitsa had the mammoth of all slides through Luffield as well. Just looking at his steering wheel, was pointing left for a tight right-hander, just opposite locking his way. That's why he actually made it quite easy in the end for Rasmussen, because he was busy controlling his own car.
Out onto the hanger straight they come. We're on board with Marcel Kiefer, closing in on David Tonitsa for 2nd position. Into the right-hander of Stowe. Rasmussen is not escaping by any stretch of the imagination. And we'll be getting into the pit stop window fairly soon as well. Lap 4 of 13, about to start lap 5 of 13 as they come through Club Corner. And out onto the start-finish straight once more. Past the Silverstone wing on the right-hand side. And then down towards the fast right-hander at Abbey. Berejne, Holtzman, Karaton, Tormala, Opmeer, Vias and Benito. The rest of the top 10. We've got a few pitters, Weigang and Naukarinen coming into the pits. The earliest of anyone, those two.
The pit stop strategy can be the key of the race because all the top drivers that can win this race, they are so close. If you stop 1 lap early and then you can use the extra grip of the new drivers, probably you can gain more than 1 position. So the pit stop will be the key of this race. And Tonitsa is still there, he's not leaving.
Now, Tonitsa, here's Marcel Kiefer.
Okay.
Okay, so that was Kiefer's radio. Now, is it a bit different now for Tonitsa being in second place compared to when Rasmussen was in second place? Because Tonitsa's leading the championship by 20 points. This would bring the gap down to 13 points. That's quite a big chunk.
No, so I think it's the same applies. These are the two rivals. They've been at the front pretty much every race, other than that Canada race where Tonitsa didn't qualify well. He's got to try and beat Rasmussen. He can't afford to just settle for second and let Rasmussen chip away if he could possibly close that gap. It's only 4/10. So this is still very much in the balance. 8 laps to go. We're right into pit stop window time. He's got to be going for this win. He can't let Rasmussen have an easy win here.
Lap 5 of 13 at Silverstone. Freddie Rasmussen leading the way in the Red Bull, and Tonitsa pits from second place then. So he's going for the undercut. In he comes on the soft tyres to move on to the mediums. Joni Tormala and Jarno Opmeer have followed him in, and Enzo Benito, but the rest of the front runners have stayed out.
He knew that he's strong to defend the position, so he tried the undercut to take the leadership and then defend the position. Look, was just perfect the pit stop. He was lucky to not find any other rivals, and now it will be very important for him the exit lap. He needs to explode his speed.
I don't know if he might have been held slightly for Jarno Opmeer in the Renault. It looked like it was a slightly slow pit stop to me, that one, but we'll see, because I'm sure Rasmussen this time around will be pitting to try and cover him off. Tonitsa, who's emerged in 9th position then. Rasmussen's got to do that quali in lap again that he didn't manage in Austria. This time he's leading the race though, so he's just got to try and match Tonitsa, and then he'll still emerge in the lead. I don't think Tonitsa's pit stop was anything too special.
Through Kopp's corner, then to Maggots and Beckett's for Freddie Rasmussen. He's 7/10 ahead of Marcel Kiefer, who's in second place. Then Daniel Berejnay in third, Patrick Holtzman in fourth, Alvaro Carreton in fifth, the Spanish Williams driver. And then he's sort of at the end of that top 5 queue at the moment. Bit of a gap back to Viers and Bono Huis and Daniele Haddad in the rest of the top 8, and in then comes Freddie Rasmussen. Now, interestingly, Marcel Kiefer decides to stay out. Berejnay comes in as well. Let's see how neat and tidy this pit stop is from the Red Bull team.
And we need to remember that Kiefer stay longer with the first set, so he can have a fresher tires later on, and he can be one of the strongest at the end of the race. Will be interesting to follow his race.
So here's David Tonitsa then, the change going down at the Red Bull team, and away he goes. Looks neat and tidy. Came out just in front of the Haas that was pitting, but here comes Tonitsa now, down to the final couple of corners. Freddie Rasmussen had the lead by half a second before the pit stops. Has David Tonitsa been rapid on his outlap, and can he come out in front of the Red Bull? Here he comes into Abbey. There's the Red Bull, and he's going to hold on, and I think Tonitsa might lose out to Berejnay here in the Alfa Romeo. Onto the brakes into Village, and he has. Tonitsa tries to fight back around the outside. All 4 wheels off there, but they're still side by side. Berejnay gets the better drive, and he's held on to the place, Daniel Berejnay. Great driving from the Alfa Romeo, and that puts him up into a second place, but only for the moment, because here comes Tonitsa in the Ferrari to the outside. This was the move that was pulled on him earlier on. Sends it in really deep into Brooklands, and he gets it done into Luffield, although thought Berejnay was going to try and hold on, but Tonitsa back up into that second position.
Was good Tonitsa, because it was not easy. Berejnay was fantastic to cross the line at the hairpin and to take the position from the outside, but then Tonitsa, he came back. Where he took the overtake, he gave it back to Berejnay. It was just perfect, and now he's launching himself to try to catch Rasmussen. It's not easy, but seems that the fresher tires can give an help at the beginning of this.
Now here comes Berejnay. He's coming back at him in the Alfa Romeo, down to Stowe, to the inside, and back up into second place goes Daniel Berejnay. Great stuff from the Hungarian, and I think this goes to show that you may have been right, Jolien, with that pit stop for David Tonitsa. That's where the time went, because he's now 1.7 seconds behind Freddie Rasmussen. So even if it was only a second, it may have cost him a big amount.
Yeah, he certainly dropped out of league contention, and now he's in second place contention. The problem he's got, this is brilliant driving from Tonitsa and Berejnay, is that someone else emerging in front of them. There's more coming in, because they've been fighting with each other.
Kiefer, I think it's Marcel Kiefer, who stayed out a lap longer, has emerged in second place right behind Freddie Rasmussen.
And Carreton is just behind this group as well, so they've been fighting brilliant stuff, but it's slowed them both down. It's let Rasmussen get away, and Kiefer's emerged in second place.
So all of a sudden, David Tonitsa finds himself down in 5th position, having started on pole position and leading the championship by 20 points, and that lead will be slashed if he finishes 5th and Freddie Rasmussen wins the race. that will be quite the turnaround as far as the championship is concerned. Here they come then. We've still, everybody's pitted now up at the front, haven't they? So Caraton in the Williams, you're right, is there in 6th place now as well. Brendan Lee is on the soft compounded tyre. He's in 8th place. Tordemuller and Bollock Bassi completing the top 10. Actually, no, apologies. Daniele Haddad has not pitted yet, has he? In the Racing Point from the front of the field. So he's the man who hasn't pitted. Tonitza could lose out here to the Williams coming down into Stowe Corner. That Scarlet Ferrari holds it for the moment because he's got the DRS of Berejne in front.
Look how close Kiefer is for the net race lead as well, behind Rasmussen. Really close, and he's on fresher tyres as well by 1 lap. Went longer, and those soft tyres were obviously holding on pretty well because he's had good pace. Jumped Tonitza and Berejne, and he was already ahead of Berejne, wasn't he? But now he's right on the back of Freddie Rasmussen for the lead.
If Haddad pits and things finish like this, the lead in the championship will come down to just 7 points between David Tonitza and Freddie Rasmussen. So this has taken a big swing towards the favour of Rasmussen, and Tonitza's lead is getting taken away a little bit. It felt like it was Brendan Lee Mark II with 2 wins from the first 2 races for Tonitza, but the results haven't quite been there subsequently. Here he comes, under pressure from Caraton. Some good fighting further back. I think that's Bollock Bassi trying to get past Yoni Tordemuller in their battle over 9th place. But you're right about Marcel Kiefer in 2nd position, right behind Freddie Rasmussen. And Daniele Haddad's doing a good job here. I don't know where he's going to emerge, in all of this. Maybe somewhere within the top 10. Might be looking to get some points. He started in 12th place on the grid. But here's the lead battle then. There's Marcel Kiefer on the shot on the inside. 4 podiums in his F1 Esports career, never a win.
It's not easy for him to maintain the distance here in the fast sector, because look, at the exit of this fast corner he loses every time a bit of gap to Rasmussen, and then he cannot use the DRS very well to try the attack. But we need to underline that Rasmussen every time in the race seems a bit more competitive than the quali. The quali is not perfect.
Save ERS and then attack.
Okay, so Kiefer asking, when do you want me to attack? And they're saying, save the ERS, save some energy in your battery, and then go for it. And he's only 3/10 away as they come across the line. This is the battle for the lead. Daniele Haddad yet to make a pit stop out in front in the Racing Point. And Berejne is sort of there in the fight in 4th place. Caraton's dropped off a little bit from the back of Tonitza. It really is that 1st and 2nd place fight that's the closest, because of course Rasmussen is at the disadvantage not having the DRS.
DRS for Kiefer now. He's going to be pretty close. 4/10 at the start of the straight. Now that's coming down and down. Just out of range of Rasmussen on that time. But Caraton as well is right behind Tonitza. So you've got the 2 championship challengers both under pressure. And Caraton's got 2 laps fresher tyres of Tonitza as well. That's for 5th, which will be 4th. But 2 championship challengers under pressure. And they're all closing up actually behind Freddie Rasmussen.
On board with Marcel Kiefer. Through Kopp's corner. Now into Maggots and Beckett's. Listen to how they take these corners.
Here usually Rasmussen is making the difference, because look his line, it's just perfect. Curb, he's opening the line, fantastic traction here, and he's a bit too far away for Kiefer to try the attack. He's opening the DRS, but he's not making the difference.
Marcel Kiefer being told at the top there, your teammate is in the pits. That is Daniele Haddad, who is finally making his pit stop on lap 10 of 13. We'll keep an eye out onto where the Italian emerges. Berejne then half a second back, and it's a 3/10 back from Berejne, so he's closed in a little bit as they come out to start lap 12 of 13 around Silverstone, so not that long to go. No, apologies, that's starting lap 11 of 13 because Haddad had already come across the line. So it's now 3/10 for the lead of the race. Freddie Rasmussen leading in the Red Bull, Marcel Kiefer second in the Racing Point, Berejne, Tonitza, Caraton the top 5.
It's good to have Berejne on top, because last year was one of the most competitor, right? Was the best one just after Brendan Lee, and this year, look, he's coming back, and so we can see him fighting for the podium position.
Yeah, retired in the first 2 races of the season, Daniel Berejne, despite having the pace, and I think took a pole position as well, and his brake pedal failed essentially because he was whacking it a bit hard. So he is now back in the fight and up there in 3rd place. Only less than 3/10 of a second between Kiefer and Rasmussen. If he can just stay there through Maggots and Beckett's, he can start lining him up to like halfway around the lap.
Not the easiest of corners to follow though, through this really fast stuff. Take as much curb as you can really, and then line it up for this slingshot out. He's actually quite neat this time, Kiefer, and now he opens the DRS. He might be a little bit closer down into Stowe Corner. He's going to be.
Is this going to be the move for Kiefer from the lead of the race? He goes for it! Bowled up the inside into Stowe! Kiefer leads for Racing Point!
What a move! What a move! It was just fantastic. He tried to come back, Rasmussen. He didn't close the line, Rasmussen. It was not enough. He tried to close, but Kiefer believed in it. And there was a small space. He took it. Was very, very good, Kiefer. Not perfect, Rasmussen.
That's the one. Rasmussen defended only half the track, as Tonitza had done to him in the last race. But Kiefer took that extra half, and they're still so close now into the loop. That could be a lunge, but he chooses to try and get the exit here. They're going to be really tight again down towards Brooklands. This is going to have to be defensive from Kiefer.
This is where Rasmussen took the lead of the race from David Tonitza. Can he pull the same move on Marcel Kiefer? Down towards the left-hander, he's too far away. Too far away into Brooklands, but he's still got another lap and a half to go. David Tonitza is in there as well, and also Daniel Berejne in the Alfa Romeo right behind that man there. Freddie Rasmussen, who was looking at knocking the lead down to 7 points. As it stands, it would come down to 14 points if he remains in second, and David Tonitza remains in fourth place as he is currently. Still a decent chunk to take away, but he really wants that race win, Freddie Rasmussen. Already had one this season. Can he find another in that Red Bull? Took victory on the streets of Baku, but he's going to be under more pressure here than anything else from Daniel Berejne in the Alfa Romeo. Not quite close enough for a move into Stowe.
Good thing for Rasmussen, he's got DRS still because he's so close to Kiefer. Without that, I think Berejne would be sailing through on the way to Stowe that time around. They're coming on to the final lap. Look how many cars are in this lead train now, all the way down to Caraton in fifth.
The top five right together as we start the final lap at Silverstone in the F1 Esports New Balance Series of 2019. Through the right-hander of Abbey, then up towards Village. That is Marcel Kiefer, who's looking to take his first victory in the F1 Esports Pro Series. Rasmussen, again, I thought he was going to go for it, and that just compromises his run out a little bit onto the Wellington Straight. Berejne is going to be under big pressure here from David Tonitza into what is probably the penultimate real overtaking point on the circuit, and Rasmussen's just a bit too far away.
Kiefer is using the extra grip of the fresher tires, 1 lap fresher than Rasmussen, and is driving perfectly, using the exit to make the gap and to try to be safe on the Rasmussen comeback. Kiefer was just perfect today because he came back from a better position. He was third, he lost 1 position at the start, and now he's leading the race at the last lap.
Brilliant stuff from Marcel Kiefer. He's just got to get through Maggots, Beckett, Stowe, Vale and Club, which when I read them all out feels like an awful lot of corners, and it will probably feel the same to him as they come onto the Hangar Straight for the final time. I think he's got enough of a gap, it's half a second to Freddie Rasmussen. Berejne third, Tonitza fourth. They're all pretty much equidistant. Brendan Lee is chasing Patrick Holtzman for 6th position. Joni Todemüller, Cem Bassi, and it looks as though, in a very impressive performance, Simon Weigang is going to get points on his first esports race. Here comes Marcel Kiefer through Club Corner for the final time, and for the first time, he wins in the F1 Esports Pro Series. Wonderful drive from Marcel Kiefer. Took the lead of the race away, shouts into the team radio, and it's second place for Freddie Rasmussen. He did the hard work, took the lead of the race, but then he got done himself.
And Kiefer was more determined. You saw the attack. He was so convinced. He was just perfect today. Fantastic second half of the race. Perfect today.
So there is Marcel Kiefer. His move for the lead was brilliant.
Great stuff. That race was brilliant. There were moves early on, Tonitza and Rasmussen. Then Kiefer came on the fresher tyres. All close racing, and it's actually quite difficult to defend. You defend the inside for one corner. If they can hang it around the outside, then you've lost the inside for the next, and that's what happened.
Wow, some brilliant racing at Silverstone. It's closed the lead of the championship up, and a first win for Marcel Kiefer. Talk about it, Tom.
I will do. I'm currently in the audience. We're right here, absolutely loving it. What a way to round things up. Wheel-to-wheel racing at its best. You're quite right to have a round of applause. Do not go anywhere. This man's got his coat on. Stay a little bit longer, because when we come back, we'll chat to the drivers, and also we're having all the post-race analysis in a second.
What's the name of the song? All-Star, yeah, exactly, All-Star. Pourhon, Spa.
And Maggots, Beckett and Chapel.
Cops, Silverstone, really high speed, nearly flat out.
I think turn 9 in Bahrain.
Australia, second to last corner.
Turn 1 in Bahrain.
Twitter.
Instagram.
Instagram for sure.
Twitter. Instagram.
Definitely Twitter. Probably Lewis Hamilton.
Wayne Rooney. Sporting idol would be Michael Schumacher. Thiago from Bayern Munich.
Max Verstappen, because he's a racing driver. He's Dutch.
Well, I like Linkin Park, so what I've done.
Señorita.
22 from Taylor Swift.
I want it that way from the factory boards.
Dab, definitely.
Floss. You got a dab.
Definitely dab.
Floss, yeah. I've learned it from Ollie Parkala. Thank you for that one.
I prefer to drive the perfect lap. Always win the race.
Win a race. I think the race win is better.
To win the race, you have to drive the perfect lap anyway, so I'll probably say win the race.
All right then, welcome back to the GFinity Arena, and what a race to cap things off in the event too. There was overtakes from Rasmussen, there was overtakes from Berezhny, and also the final winner, Mr. Kiefer, overtaking Rasmussen right towards the end. There he is, looking cool, calm and collected as he overtakes that main man, Rasmussen. And a thumbs up at the end. Yeah, smashed it. There you go. I said he was the unsung hero to Matt Gallagher, Julian Palmer, but here he is. Marcel Kiefer, get on that mic. Hello. Hello. You must be feeling ecstatic after that fantastic race.
Yeah, it was about damn time. I was waiting for the win already a couple of weeks, so yeah, I'm just really happy that it happened and just looking forward to the next race to win it again.
Yeah, indeed, and hopefully fingers crossed for your team as well. We heard earlier on Renault are doing 11 hours practice at the time, and it must be itching for you if you're doing the same amount of time. You just want to get that first win under your belt.
They are amateurs. I do 12, so
12 hours. There we go.
So yeah, no, you have to put in the hours to make the results happen, and it's not just about one person. Like I couldn't have done that without my teammate Lucas and Danny. Both of them, I owe them a lot. So yeah, without them it wouldn't happen. Maybe
Gracious
show him in
humble.
Maybe show Lucas.
Maybe show. He's now directing the show as well, which I absolutely love about Marcel Kiefer. Listen, Matt, Julian, what do we take from that for Marcel? It was a fantastic drive.
Brilliant race. What I loved about it was the incisiveness of the winning move. We've seen two races where it's been a bit cagey, no big lunges. Winning move was brilliant. There was half a gap and you took it.
Appreciate it.
And Matt, we thought it was going to be the Tunitsa-Rasmussen race, but out of nowhere, Kiefer steps up and we're just waiting for that win, knows he's got the minerals and managed to deliver.
Yeah, I was surprised that the undercut wasn't particularly powerful. Marcel staying out, and then with all the carnage that was going on, just popped out in a net P2, and all of a sudden you're challenging for the victory. And as Julian said, there was one opportunity into Stowe. The car's width, maybe just more, and he's just gone straight down the inside, which we've been waiting for the last two races before that. Come on, just go for it. Yeah. And finally he did, and he takes away his first win.
Okay, Marcel, there's a couple of questions in my head that are running through. First of all, obviously you've got that win. We've been watching the whole time saying it's the Rasmussen-Tunitsa show. Are those the two front runners in your opinion, or is there another driver here that you're just waiting for them to kick on?
I think we shouldn't underestimate anyone. I mean, all of the drivers are here for a reason. So, I mean, obviously, Rasmussen and Tunisia, they already put on a great show over the last couple of races. So they're definitely the guys to beat. But I think every one of us deserves to be here, and every one of us is here for a reason. So, yeah, I don't think anyone in particular is the best.
No, of course, but you got that win. So talk me through that game plan. Did you go into this race thinking this is how we're going to have to attack it today?
Yeah, I actually did. I thought the undercut, everyone is going for the undercut because that was the best strategy for all the other races. So I was like, okay, go for the overcut and just maintain ERS and manage everything behind Tunisia and Fredo whilst they think they pull away. And then when they go in, I just turn it up and go quali mode.
Yeah, now listen, obviously we're not even letting you have this win because I want to start talking about the next races. Belgium, we've got Italy in there as well. How are you going to approach those?
I think just drive and do what I can do. I mean, if I'm last, then I'm last. If I'm first, then I'm first, great. But I mean, it won't change anything. I just have to think from race to race. This is over. I mean, we are happy about 25 points because we didn't score any in the last two races. So yeah. next up is hopefully 25 plus 18.
Yeah, exactly. And start putting points on the board. Well, listen, I'll get another round of applause from Marcel Kiefer. I'm going to let him get back and start celebrating. Thank you. Congratulations, man. I'll let you head out. Beautiful stuff. You can head that way for me, Mr. Marcel. He's got the win under the bag, and it must be such a relief for him because he knows how talented he is. And when we look at that overtake, it showed exceptional skill.
Yeah, it was good. But what I like about that race, it was everything. It was the decent start, good strategy, good overtake, and then a load of pressure at the end as well. So he basically displayed everything you need to win races. No reason, really, I don't see that he can't do it on a more consistent basis.
Yeah, and Matt, he was talking about there going on to Germany, Belgium, Italy next up. He just has to drive. There's more to it than that, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of preparation. He's kind of understated the amount of, well, apart from the fact he said he'd done 12 hours, but he's kind of understated the amount of work that goes into kind of preparing for these 3 tracks. Germany, quite difficult again. You're going to have to make qualifying right, and that's what he did. He was third on the grid. He put himself in that position to be able to challenge for the victory. He went for an alternate strategy, going 2 laps longer on the softs, and it worked out for him.
Yeah, indeed. And Tonitsa and Rasmussen, were they feeling a bit hard done by, kicking themselves? Maybe Berezhny as well.
I have to say I feel a bit sorry for Rasmussen because he's had a great day, really. And he nearly won the first one but got a penalty, nearly won the second one but didn't quite go for it on the last lap. And then he had the lead for a long time and just got beaten. But he's had a brilliant day anyway. Yeah. And I think that championship fight's looking really good.
Yeah, he has had a brilliant day, and we can hear from him right now because Rosanna is with him. How's he feeling, Rosanna?
Well, let's find out, Tom. Freddie, talk about what goes around comes around. You pulled an incredible move on David, and then Marcel did the same to you. How surprised were you by Marcel's performance today, what he calls quali mode during a race?
Well, I'm not surprised at Marcel's performance. I know he's a very fast driver. It was kind of an unlucky day for me overall with the penalty in the first race. Couldn't overtake in the second, and well, I went out to 1 lap longer than Tonitsa in the first race because there were so many cars behind. I knew I would get held up in the pits, so I pitted a lap later. But I still ended up getting held in the pits, and I used all my ERS. And Marcel had quicker tires at the end, so not really much of a chance to defend.
You had Davide Valsecchi screaming, "Believe in yourself." As I sat down to interview you, you said, "Forever number 2." You've got the talent, Freddie. People are rooting for you. Have you got the confidence that you can win this championship?
Of course, it's looking very good.
It certainly is. Back to you, Tom.
Thank you very much. The cool, calm, collected Freddie Rasmussen, and you've said he drove so well today, Jolien. It was a fantastic overtake. We've been waiting for it from Austria. It happens. It was ecstatic. The crowd went a little bit wild for it.
Yeah, it went absolutely crazy. The outside finally worked for him. It was what he was doing pretty much for 18 laps in Austria. This time, the outside meant he had the inside for this corner. And actually, Tonitsa had a big slide through Luffield, and then that's what just allowed Freddie to come through in the end. So, great move. And, I mean, those two, they fought really well all day. So, good to see good, clean racing as well.
Yeah, we expected big things from Daniel Berezhny, Matt, formerly at Mercedes with Brendan Lee, and then he moved, which he's done now. He was doing overtakes as well, and is beginning to show that form that we expected him.
Yeah, he had a very difficult first week, and I'd say still probably not up to his expectations as well. And here we have it on Tonitsa. He was just defending coming out of the pits. Tonitsa then going up the inside, making this move happen. But Berezhny was having absolutely none of it, and it kind of just shows how much this means to him. He's come into this championship wanting to win and be number 1, not only at Alfa Romeo, but to win this F1 Esports series. And he kind of showed the aggression that we can see from him, and hopefully in the coming races, in the next shows, we'll see that again.
Yeah, so because at times there was a bit of a recession, but then in that last race it saved it for the best, for the last, because of that drama. Are we expecting that for Germany and Italy and Belgium as well? That, look, hey, let's learn from this. We need to be more aggressive. We need to get those overtakes. We need points now because there isn't as many races on the board anymore.
Some good tracks coming up. I thought Canada was going to be really good. I think the rain maybe made a bit of an effect because we had 1 lap of dry racing and there were 3 wide for the lead into the final corner. I think the next 3 are going to be really good. Nice, easy to overtake tracks. Really close as well.
Yeah.
Bodes well.
Bodes well. It does bode well indeed. And also, Matt, I don't want to blow my own trumpet here, but I said about Simon and Weigang earlier on and getting some points on the board. I mean, obviously we're waiting for adjudication and those penalties to come through, but as it stands, a fantastic debut race for him.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of hours he's put into this specific track, I'm pretty sure he'll be very glad coming out of this race. You know, he was given one sole responsibility by Renault to perform at Silverstone, and he did. He had a difficult qualifying, but he made up for it. Another guy as well was Cembolo Bassi, who was down in 17th, 18th, and he managed to get in the points as well. So a few really, really good performances.
All right, well, listen, guys, we're halfway through now, the 2019 season, and if the first two events have got you excited and you think you've got what it takes to be involved next year, then pay attention. I told you to pay attention. To get involved, simply load up F1 2019 and head to the Esports tab to enter. As always, you can get more information by visiting f1esports.com. And of course, you can find out all of the final results if you head there as well. That's f1esports.com. Right then, guys, brilliant race. Tonitsa, maybe still pushing himself out for the championship. Have you had a great day, Julian?
I've had a great day, yeah. It's been good racing action. Loved it.
Perfect. Matt Gallagher, as always, thank you very much. Julian, thank you very much. To Davide Valsecchi as well. To Jack Nichols, to Rosanna Tennant, and of course to everybody in the arena. Thank you so much. I don't know about you, but I cannot wait for next month. We'll see you then.
Championship in Montreal. The lights are out. And there's the look from Nakarinen. Chaos down at the final chicane.
I feel amazing. I did not expect this at all.
It's now or never, but he can't do it. Brilliant drive from Tonitsa. And we're racing at Silverstone.
Yes, Rasmussen, he did it.
He goes for it. Keeper leads for Racing Point. Wonderful drive from Marcel Keeper.